Nobody's here yet. One person's here. And I forgot to pull up the trial. That would help. Ooh, prosecuting Mackenzie's parents. What? I'm going to have to watch that. Oh, I don't need to watch that. I don't need to watch that yet because I haven't seen the movie. Dang it. I gotta quit watching Grogu stuff. They're all over the place and I haven't seen the movie yet. And no spoilers. I told Travis the other day. I thought he was watching the trailer. I'm like, no. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to see anything. I don't hear anything. Don't tell me anything. He's like, I didn't watch it. And I was like, okay. Don't, because I don't want to know anything. We're supposed to go Friday to see the movie. South Carolina v. Alex Murdaugh. I don't know why he pronounces his name Alec. Because it's Alex. Alex. We're probably not going to get all the way through opening statements. I guess nobody wants to watch this. If nobody wants to watch it, we won't start it today. I won't start till more people come. And we might not start it then if nobody wants to watch. I don't understand. Why does he pronounce it Alec, though? I have notifications turned off. Like, I'm on Do Not Disturb. But the only notification I get is from All Recipes. I don't know why that one won't turn off. That's the only one I get. Because he's a dweeb? Yeah. Come on, people. There's somebody else. Let's see if we can. Carly Gregg appeal argued to Mississippi. Is that where she was? Mississippi Supreme Court is LWOP for juveniles unconstitutional. I feel like it's not right. She's only 15. Her brain's not done developing yet. Yeah. Guilty, yes. Punishment, yes. Not LWOP. Hey, Joe. I don't think this will mess up anything. I don't think this has anything to do with the actual movie.
Hi, everyone. It's Pedro Pascal and Grogu. We're here for our brand new action-packed film, The Mandalorian and Grogu. You know what?
Spoilers.
Nothing goes better with a movie than snacks. Just ask Grogu. All right, buddy. You ready to dig in? I'm going for the shrimp chips. This is really good. I'm gonna have a little serrano ham. I knew you were gonna go for the pretzel. Pair it with a chip. Get ready for some sugar. Grogu, I know you're gonna love this. We're gonna save this for you later. For after dinner. Be sure to see The Mandalorian and Grogu in cinemas this May. Strap in.
Oh,
no! Life shouldn't be.
Frogs are his favorite. And those little blue cookies. Those little blue cookies are good. Well, I don't know if I have the same blue cookie. One I have was square, not round. But they were good. Wookiee cookies, though, are the best. You guys will probably get to see me eat a Wookiee cookie tomorrow. Tomorrow is National Hamburger Day. So I'm going to eat a hamburger, probably. But I will probably eat a Wookiee cookie, too. I'm not going to get the blue one again. It was good. But for $7, was it 7 or 5? I think it was 7. I'd rather have a Wookiee cookie for 7. It's literally, it's too tall. It will not fit in my mouth. Wookiee cookies, they're oatmeal cookies with icing in the middle. They're this thick. They don't fit in my mouth. I have to eat a bite off the top and then a bite off the bottom. They don't fit. They're huge. Size of the palm of my hand. They're huge. They're worth $7. They really are. They're good. They're very good. Wheat thins and cheese. One of these. I'm trying to be good because I've gained 8 pounds. I blame Disney. And McDonald's. Okay. Murdaugh. Opening statements. Maybe. Where are they?
Presented to you. We'll now proceed to opening statements by the state.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court. On the evening of June 7th, 2021, at the defendant's property off Moselle Road in Colleton County, his son, Paul Murdaugh, was standing in a small feed room and some kennels they had on the property. About 8:50 p.m., and the defendant over there, Alex Murdaugh, took a 12-shade shotgun and shot him in the shoulder,
Creighton Waters look like Tim Conway to me.
in the chest and the shoulder with buckshot. And the evidence is going to show it was a 1,000,000-to-1 shot. He could have survived that, but after that, another shot went up under his head and did catastrophic damage to his brain and his head. The evidence is going to show that Paul collapsed right outside that feed room. And just moments later, he picked up a .300 Blackout, which is a type of ammunition, but an AR-style rifle. And the evidence is going to show that the family had multiple weapons throughout the property. Picked up that .300 Blackout rifle and opened fire on his wife, Maggie, just feet away near some sheds that used to be a hangar. Pow, pow. 2 shots, abdomen and the leg, and took her down. And after that, there were additional shots, including 2 shots to the head that, again, did catastrophic damage and killed her instantly. The evidence is going to show that neither Paul nor Maggie had any defensive wounds. Neither one of them had any defensive wounds, as if they didn't see a threat coming from their attacker. And the evidence is also going to show that both Maggie and Paul were shot at extremely close range. The evidence is going to show it's called stippling. It's almost like a tattoo, that when you get shot very close to a weapon, it leaves marks that the forensic pathologist can see. They were shot at close range and they did not have defensive wounds. And the evidence is going to show that the defendant, Alex Murdaugh over there, told anyone who would listen that he was never at those kennels. But the evidence is also going to show
that he lied.
From these things that every one of us, most of us carry around in our pocket, that he was there. And he was there just minutes before, with Maggie and Paul, just minutes before their cell phones go silent forever and ever. Despite what he told people, I was never at those kennels, the cell phones are going to show otherwise. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Craig Waters. I'm with the Attorney General's office and I'll be the lead prosecutor. I introduced myself before. With me is David Fernandez, Savannah Gow, John Metters, Don Zelinka, John Conrad, and Johnny James. A lot of lawyers. This is a big case. It's a very complicated case, and that's why there's so many people working on it. Sitting back in the row, we have David Owen, who's the lead investigator. We have Lieutenant Charles Gent, who's one of the agents, Special Agent Ryan Kelly, and Special Agent Peter Radofsky. Some of the agents that are working on the case, as well as Investigator Isaac Toledo, who's working on the case as well. There's some of the witnesses that you'll hear from as we go through this case. The judge talked to you a little bit about him being the judge of the law, and he gives you the law. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the legal concepts before I turn back to those facts. Just remember, though, he's the judge of the law, so you take what he says, but I'm going to explain to you some of the legal issues from my perspective before we talk a little bit more about the evidence in the case. And the first thing...
Okay, I think everybody in here already knows this, but he was a lawyer, like a legacy lawyer. Like his whole family has been a lawyer in South Carolina for decades, or generations, for generations. Like he's, I think, 4th or 5th generation. Like his family, there's pictures of him, like portraits of them in the courthouse. I think they got a change of venue, but they're wanting to change a venue again. So I don't know. Judy, do you know if they got a change of venue for the first trial? And now they're wanting another one for this trial. I don't know if they're meaning a change of venue from the last trial or just a change of venue in general. Do you know what I mean? Am I making sense? Like hey Melissa, if they change the venue from the regular courthouse it would have been in last time. When Poot says he wants to change a venue, okay, so last time they were in the courtroom that he would have, the normal jurisdiction, but now they're wanting a change of venue. Okay. Because but they did bring in a special judge and a special prosecutor, right? Because it would have been people that like he had worked with, right? The judge, and it would have been a judge he'd gone before and stuff like that in his normal everyday life. So they brought in special people, if I remember correctly. So They want to change the venue. And Poot said, Poot is Dick Harpootlian. Poot is his nickname. That's what EDB calls him, and it's what I'm going to call him. So Poot is the guy sitting next to Alec. He said that they have evidence of a third. Yeah, that's why I was confused, because I thought, I know they want to change the venue, but I thought that his grandfather's picture was on the wall. And I was like, so if they got to change a venue, then his grandfather's picture wouldn't be on the wall. So that's why I was confused. And I know when I saw that interview with Poot, he said they were going to ask for a change of venue. And this judge is retired. That's why Judge Toll came in for the hearing with Becky Hill about the juror thing. Because this judge, I forgot this judge's name. He's retired. I like this judge too. But so Poot said that they have evidence they're going to present for a third party culprit. But as Creighton just said, there were no defensive wounds. So they weren't afraid of whoever their attacker was because there were no defensive wounds.
Is right before you went to lunch, y'all all took an oath. Everybody in this courtroom who's got involvement in this case takes an oath. You know, attorneys take an oath to become an attorney, take another oath to become a prosecutor, judge takes another oath to become a judge, witnesses take oath on the stands, law enforcement take oaths to become law enforcement, but y'all took an oath as well. And the reason why is that y'all have the most important job in this courtroom. Every one of you raised your hand and said that you would well and truly try this case. And it's the most important job here because like the judge said, he's the judge of the law, but y'all are the judge of the facts. Y'all are going to listen to what comes from that witness stand and judge those facts.
The whole country.
You also have to be mindful of that oath. That oath requires you to do that hard job.
How many news programs have done a story on this man? 2020, 48 hours. All of them. Like Dateline. I don't know. Any true crime junkie has seen something about this case. I really don't know where this man could get a fair trial. Seriously. I mean, I know there are some people out there that aren't into true crime that probably have no idea who he is, but they're going to be hard to find.
To make that decision, to call the strike when you see it. It's the same oath. It's just as important as any other oath. This might be the most important in this courtroom. The judge mentioned the reasonable doubt, and he's exactly right. It's the state's burden to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. That is a cornerstone of our country. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a burden we welcome. It's what we want. It's a system that has been well tested and true, and we take that burden to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. And I want to remind everyone that the emphasis is on reasonable. Okay, it's not any doubt, it is reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt is often defined, and again, listen to the judge how he defines it, but reasonable doubt is a doubt that causes a reasonable person to hesitate to act. And when you hear the evidence coming from this stand about this particular case, I submit to you, you won't hesitate to act. Again, remember the emphasis is on the reasonable. Reasonable doubt. The judge mentioned the charges, and there are 4 of them. First indictment accuses Alex Murdaugh, to which he's pled not guilty, but it accuses him of murdering Maggie Murdaugh. The second indictment accuses him of murdering Paul Murdaugh. The third indictment accuses him of possessing a firearm during the commission of a violent crime, that being the murder of Maggie Murdaugh. And the last one accuses him of possessing a firearm during the commission of a violent crime, and that being the murder of Paul Murdaugh. And what does that mean? What is murder? Well, the judge again is going to instruct you, but it is the unlawful killing of another with malice aforethought. And what is malice? Malice is a mental state. That's ultimately going to be for y'all to determine as to what was going through Alex Murdaugh's mind when he committed these crimes. What is malice? Malice has often been defined as the intentional doing of a wrongful act without just cause or excuse. It is the intent to inflict an injury under circumstances that the law would presume an evil intent. An evil intent. And when you look at the circumstances of the crime, when you look at what led up to this crime, the evidence is going to show that there was malice aforethought. Aforethought, what does that mean? It means it has to exist at the moment you commit that crime. It doesn't have to be planned. It doesn't have to be planned for any long period of time. It just has to exist a split second before the crime is committed. But when you see this crime and you hear all the circumstances, the evidence is going to show that forethought existed for a while. It existed for a while in the mind of Alex Murdaugh. You're also going to hear about circumstantial evidence. And a lot of times people hear, oh, it's just a circumstantial case. But the law says otherwise. The law says that circumstantial evidence is just as good as direct evidence. And what's the difference between the two? Direct evidence is supposedly about to storm out here, from what I'm told.
No, and Poot says that the only reason why he wants another trial is to clear his name because he didn't do it, and he's not getting out because he still has to serve at least 27 years on the financial crimes, and he knows he's not getting out. That's not what this is about, that he just wants to clear his name because he did not kill Maggie and Paul. I don't believe it.
Direct evidence is if it's sunny outside and a witness goes outside and it's sunny and they come in here and they get on that witness stand and because they saw it raining, they sit on the stand and said, I was just outside and I saw it rain. I saw it raining. That's direct evidence. They actually saw it raining. But to give you an example of what circumstantial evidence is if the witness goes into a room where all the curtains are drawn, and when they go into that room, it's sunny outside and everything's dry. And while they're in that room, they see it darken behind the shades. They hear thunder. They hear the wind blowing. They hear the sound of raindrops on the roof. And then they open up the door, and it's not raining, but everything is wet. There's puddles in the driveway. There's puddles in the street. There's puddles in the yard. There's limbs down all over the ground. And then they come in here and say, yeah, it was raining. Didn't actually see it raining, but those circumstances are beyond any reasonable doubt that it was actually raining. Now, I guess it's possible that somebody could have been standing outside their window and beating the drum to sound like thunder and blowing a fan to make it seem like it was the wind and somehow got enough water to coat the entire neighborhood. But that's not reasonable. Everybody understand that distinction?
Unless you're on a movie set.
Another thing, and this is crucial, what you're going to do in this particular case, is determine credibility or the believability of witnesses. So it'll be your job to look at the evidence, the exhibits in the case, but also the witnesses and decide if it's truthful, if you believe it, if you can rely on it. And the judge is going to instruct you that you can believe one witness against many or many witnesses against one. You can believe all the witnesses' testimony or part of the witnesses' testimony. It's up to you, first individually and then as a product of your deliberations. And what you're required to do there is just to rely on that good old-fashioned common sense. Does it all fit together? Is it corroborated? Does it fit with what you would expect? Does it fit with what you expect how real people would act? Does it seem real? Does something seem a little off? Does something seem a little off? You're going to see video statements of Alex Murdaugh. You're going to see body-worn camera of him at the scene when law enforcement arrives. And hear what he says. And hear what he says about that night. You're going to hear 3 recorded statements on video that he gave with law enforcement. And you're going to hear how things progress about what he says and what he says he did that night. Watch those closely. Watch his expressions. Listen to what he's saying. Listen to what he's not saying. Use that common sense. Does this seem right? Just something seemed a little off. Something seemed a little off. I mentioned that Maggie was killed with a .300 blackout rifle, an AR style rifle that chambered in .300 blackout ammunition. And you're going to hear evidence that back in Christmas of 2016, Alex Murdaugh over there bought 2 .300 blackout AR style rifles. And then not long after that, one of them went missing from Paul's truck. And time went by, and in April of 2018, Alex Murdaugh replaced that rifle and bought another one. 3 total blackout rifles that they had. One of them went missing years ago, and a replacement was bought. You're going to hear evidence that Paul and his friend were using that replacement gun. They were standing right outside the side door to the gun room of the house, and they were sighting it in, firing down into a field. And the cases were ejecting. The cases are the empty shell from a bullet, and they were ejecting out into the flower bed right there. And then there's a range across the street, and they shot it there, and there's cases ejected there as well. And they were shooting that third replacement gun just weeks prior to the murders, prior to June 7th, 2021, when Maggie and Paul were murdered. And you're going to hear forensic evidence that the cases that were found in that flower bed and the cases that were found across the street at that range were ejected out of the same weapon that fired all the cases that were around Maggie's dead body, that killed her. It was a family weapon that killed Maggie Murdaugh. And you're going to hear evidence that of those 3 blackouts that Alex Murdaugh purchased, when law enforcement arrives at the scene on June 7th, 2021, he can only account for one of them. He can only account for one of them. And that replacement gun is nowhere to be found. You're also going to hear evidence that the type of ammunition, the exact brand, the exact model of ammunition that was used to kill Maggie, S&B, .300 blackout ammunition, and 147 grain bullets, that exact ammunition, boxes, empty boxes of that ammunition, is found all over the property. The very same brand and model of ammunition that was used to kill her is found at multiple locations throughout the property. And you're also going to hear evidence, the same thing about the shotgun shells that killed Paul. That federal double-aught buckshot unfired rounds were found on the property, as well as Winchester #2 turkey loads, the 2 rounds in the shotgun that killed Paul. Family weapon, same ammunition. It's on the property. You're also going to hear evidence that about a week after the murders, Mr. Alex Murdaugh's father had died, Mr. Randolph, and about a week after the murders, he shows up early in the morning at his parents' home, where his mother still is in late-stage Alzheimer's, on Alameda in Hampton. It's uncharacteristic for him to show up early, uncharacteristic for him to show up at all like that. And he comes in, and he's carrying something in a blue tarp, and he takes it upstairs. And eventually law enforcement finds out about that. And they go upstairs, and they find a wadded up, very, very large raincoat in a blue color. Could look like a tarp. And you're going to hear evidence that it was coated with gunshot residue on the inside. On the inside. You're going to hear other evidence of gunshot residue. You're going to hear that there was gunshot residue on Alex at the scene. You're going to hear the evidence that there was gunshot residue on the seatbelt of the car he was driving. You're going to hear evidence that when law enforcement got to the scene, he had gone and gotten a shotgun, Paul's shotgun, and that Maggie's DNA was on that shotgun. You're going to hear other evidence from DNA, gunshot residue, firearms examiners. There's going to be a lot of forensic evidence in this case. And I'm not going to get into every single bit of it right now, but I will say that a key piece of forensic evidence that you're going to hear in this case is the cell phone evidence. Alex's cell phone, Maggie's cell phone, Paul's cell phone. You know, this is all amazing technology that most of us carry around in our pockets. It really allows us to do a lot of things and to get a lot done. But this cell phone keeps track of who we're talking to, who we're calling, who we're texting, whenever we access apps. And every time you do that, there's a record kept in this phone unless it's deleted somehow. And if you're using certain apps, you can even get GPS information where you were when you did that that's stored on these phones. You're going to hear evidence about that. You're going to hear evidence that when you make a call and it pings off the cell towers, that location information can be gathered from that as well. And so it allows an investigation to take this and piece together what someone was doing on a particular day, and not only what they were doing, but who they were interacting with and how they were interacting with. This is going to be crucial evidence for you to consider. You're going to hear that particularly Alec and Paul, but also Maggie, were prolific cell phone users, to the point where Paul's friends even had a nickname for him about his cell phone usage. Before I talk more about that, there's 3 family properties I need to talk about. Okay. The first one I've mentioned is Moselle. Moselle in Colleton County. It's called Moselle. It's off Moselle Road, but everybody refers to it as Moselle. And that property is it's a lot of acres. There's a main house on it, and there's a driveway that goes to that main house. But it used to be an airstrip, and there's an airstrip that goes down, and then down the way, just less than a third of a mile away, just a 3-minute walk, 4-minute walk, 45-second drive, is the kennels and the shed that used to be a hangar where Paul and Maggie were murdered. So the main house is just less than a third of a mile away. You can see the kennels from the main house. You can see the main house from the kennels. The family also had a house in Edisto at the beach. And the evidence is going to show that that is where Maggie preferred to stay, particularly in the summer months. She liked the beach. She was not a hunter. She didn't want to be at Moselle. She didn't want to be at the lodge where it was hot and buggy. She liked being in Edisto. And then you're also, I've already mentioned, the house in Alameda, which is where his parents' home. On June 7th, 2021, you're going to hear evidence that his father went into the hospital and the prognosis was not good. And in fact, he died a few days later. And his mother was in late-stage Alzheimer's, and that house being cared for by a caretaker, and you're going to hear from that caretaker.
Mr. Waters, yes, sir. We pause for a moment. We'll be at ease in just a moment.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
For the defense.
Please report, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Was Creighton done?
She came back. Her father had died, Mr. Randolph, and about a week after the murders, he shows up. Direct evidence as if it's sunny outside.
No.
Is the kennels and the shed that used to be a hangar where Paul and Maggie were murdered. So the main house is just less than a third of a mile away.
What, Shadow?
And the kennels / sheds. The main house has a driveway, but the kennels also have a driveway. And the evidence is going to show that that was actually as commonly used as the main driveway. In fact, the mailbox is by the kennel driveway. Driving right past those kennels were Paul and Maggie were murdered. I told you that you're going to hear evidence that Maggie did not like being in Moselle as much as she liked Eddystone, the beach house. But that, on June 7th, 2021, she came back to Moselle. And the evidence is going to show that she arrived about 8:15. And the evidence is going to show that from the cell phones that Paul was there at the house, the main house. And Alex Murdaugh himself says that they ate dinner, and the autopsy is going to reflect both Paul and Maggie having similar stomach contents, indicating that they recently shared a meal together. About 8:30, about 15 minutes after they arrived, Paul's phone starts moving towards the kennels. You're going to hear evidence again that the defendant said he was never at those kennels, that he was napping after they ate, and he was at the main house and never went there. You're also going to hear evidence about how much Alec used his own cell phone, and it would be unusual for him to be anywhere without his cell phone. At 8:44 and 55 seconds, Paul recorded a video. He was down at the kennels because he had been talking to a friend of his, and you're going to hear from this friend because his friend's dog was in the kennels and they thought there was something wrong with the tail. And Paul was recording a video of it to send to his friend. 8:44 and 55 seconds. And on that video, and you'll see that video, and you'll hear from witnesses that identify Paul's voice, Maggie's voice, and Alex's voice. Told anyone who would listen he was never there. It's 8:44 and 55 seconds. There's a video. The evidence will show that he was there. He was at the murder scene with the two victims. And more than that, just over 3 minutes later, 8:49 and 1 second, Paul's phone locks forever.
How he thought murdering them was going to get him out of his financial crimes, I have no idea.
Another text. He doesn't answer calls.
That did not fix his problem
3 minutes
at all.
after that video has the defendant at the murder scene with the two victims, Paul's phone goes silent forever. And in fact, another communication comes into the very friend that he was talking to, the dog, at 8:49 and 35 seconds, just 35 seconds later, and he doesn't answer. He never answers another thing forever now. And on top of that, Maggie's phone locks at 8:49 and 31 seconds, around that same time, and she never answers another text, never sends another text, never makes another phone call, never receives another phone call. 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. 3 minutes after a video shows he's at the scene with the victims, and he told everybody he was never there. Never there. Credibility, ladies and gentlemen. Credibility. So what happens after that? Well, you'll hear evidence that Alex's phone was conspicuously, he didn't have a lot of activity from about 8:09 p.m. until 9:02 p.m. And if he was at the kennels, which the evidence will show, why is his phone not with him? Why is it not showing activity? But you will hear that at 9:02, all of a sudden his phone does start to pick up activity. At 9:02, he starts moving. At 9:04, he calls Maggie's phone. Doesn't answer, of course. Doesn't answer. He calls his father, Randolph, who's in the hospital. Doesn't appear there's an answer there. He calls Maggie again at 9:06. Remember, he's just a third of a mile away. You can see it. At 9:06, she doesn't answer. At 9:06, he turns on his car, his Suburban. And he
Did you
texts
mention the boat accident
Maggie
in
that
this
he's
call? I
going,
don't
be
remember.
right back. I'm going to go check on Mom. And he doesn't drive down to the kennels, even though that's where the mailbox is. That's a common place to be, even though you can see it. He's called his wife 2 times and texted her, and she hasn't responded. But he didn't just drive down there and say, hey, I'm heading. You guys want to go? What's up? What's up? Right there. You can see it. He then drives to Alameda, where his mom is suffering from Alzheimer's, and the caretaker is there. And he starts calling people. He's talking to people. It'll be up to you to decide whether or not he's trying to manufacture an alibi. He gets there to Alameda. You'll hear evidence about whether or not that was usual. You'll hear evidence about how he was acting when he got there. And he's only there for 20 minutes because he's back underway at 9:44. And he makes more phone calls on the way back. Calling friends, calling people who will answer. It'll be up to you to decide whether he's trying to create an alibi. And he gets back to Moselle at 10:01. He calls 911 at 10:06. Listen to that 911 call. Listen to what he says. Listen to what explanations he may offer. You're going to hear that 911 call, but you're also going to see the body-worn camera of the officers who arrived at the scene. The video camera they wear, so it records what they're doing. And you're going to see what he did to Maggie and Paul. It's going to be gruesome. There's no other way around it. It's what he did. You're going to see crime scene photographs. You're going to see the traumatic injuries that were suffered. You're going to hear from a pathologist, a doctor who will examine the injuries. It's going to be gruesome. There's no other way around it. On that 911 call and on the body-worn cameras, pay attention to what he says. Look at how he's acting. But he says within a few minutes of each one of those, he says, this is about the boat case. This is about the boat case.
Oh, they did mention it. Okay.
And you're going to hear
remember
some of what was going on in Alex Murdaugh's life leading up to that day. Stuff that happened that very day, stuff that was leading up, a perfect storm that was gathering, much like the storms that are coming outside today. Listen for that evidence. Listen to that gathering storm that all came to a head on June 7th, 2021, the day the evidence will show he killed Maggie and Paul. This has been a long, exhaustive investigation. It's going to be a fairly long trial.
Yeah, this family.
It's complicated. It's a journey.
This family was like royalty in this town. Yeah, it was like royalty in this town. They were allowed, Alex was allowed to go down to the boat. But the parents of the poor girl that died weren't allowed to go down there. They were made to stay back. And Alex told all the kids to say that Paul wasn't driving the boat. They were drunk. Those kids were drunk. And that poor girl lost her life. And the parents were treated badly, but Alex was allowed to do whatever he wanted. Paul should have been arrested for manslaughter. If at the very least, manslaughter. It's disgraceful. And now, thank God, they're reopening the case of Stephen Smith, because I honestly believe that Buster and Paul killed that guy. It's horrible. And unfortunately, the good old boy network in the South is like that. That's good. That's good. But I mean, some of you know about the troubles I've had in my town with my jerk neighbor closing my road. It's who you know. I have lived in this town for over 30 years. I worked at both nursing homes in this town. I've served this community. And Jerkwad next door, his wife works for a school board. So he goes to the county commissioners and like, well, somebody missed the turn and ran into my fence and my cow got out. So can I close the road? Yeah, sure. So now I'm isolated back here. Nobody can find me. The other day, Amazon called me. I can't find your house. I had to drive down to the highway. It's a good old boy network in the South. It's not, it's who you are. It's who you know or who you're related to. It sucks. Yeah, it sucks. It is. But the thing was, killing Maggie and Paul didn't fix any of that. And then he did the fake, remember he had the guy like shoot him? Like, oh, I'm being targeted too? Like the fake assassination attempt or whatever. Just, if you make a mistake, that's embezzlement's not a mistake. But if you do something, own up to it. Don't keep digging the hole deeper.
There's a lot of aspects to this case. There's a lot of factors to this case. But like a lot of things that are complicated, when you start to put them all together, piece them together like a puzzle, all of a sudden the picture emerges and it's really simple. It's really simple.
Did it get dropped? Oh, I wouldn't have dropped it.
Once we get to the end of that journey,
I would sue him for everything he
you have a
had.
chance to deliberate. The evidence is going to be such that you're going to reach the inescapable conclusion that Alec murdered Maggie and Paul, that he was the storm, that the storm was coming for them, and the storm arrived on June 7th, 2021, just like the storms that are heading here right now, that they died as a result, beyond any reasonable doubt. Thank you.
I tried that. I called the one county commissioner who I knew I took care of their relatives in the nursing home, and I did that. It didn't work.
For the defense.
Please report, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the family filed a suit, but if they dropped
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my name is Dick Harfootlian.
Who?
I introduced myself to y'all and
I like his
the
nickname.
attorneys, the three other attorneys, Jim Griffin, Philip Barber.
I guess they had to drop it if he's in prison now.
It
He
is
doesn't
our
have any
honor
money in prison.
to represent Alex Murdaugh, or Murdaugh, depending on how you pronounce it.
He doesn't know
I
how
say
to
it's
pronounce
our
it.
honor because I submit to you what you have heard from the Attorney General as facts are not. They're his theories, his conjecture. Now stand up. This is Alex Murdaugh. And Alex
His name
was
is
the loving
Dick.
father of Paul and the loving husband.
And the other one's name is
Maggie.
Jim. But his name is Dick.
You're not going to hear a single witness say that their relationship, Maggie and Alex's relationship, were anything other than loving. You're going to hear about how they went to a baseball game the weekend before. You're going to hear about their relationship. You're going to see texts and emails indicating a loving relationship. Paul, the apple of his eye. You're going to see a video somewhere between 7:30 and 8 o'clock the night of the murders with Paul and Alex riding around looking at some trees they planted. It's a Snapchat that Paul sent to other people because the trees were not planted very well. They were cantilevering over. They're laughing. They're having a good time. That would be about an hour before the Attorney General says he swatted them. When I say he swatted them, when they were swatted, and no question, Paul Murdaugh was shot twice
That's not
with
what
buckshot,
swatting
12-gauge
is.
buckshot, once in the chest. And by the way, that shot would indicate it was in the chest and came out under his arm, like somebody that might have been holding up their hands. So when he says no defensive wounds, he perhaps is being held at shotgun. I mean, I can make the same sort of speculation that the Attorney General can, because that's all he's doing is speculating. What we do know is 12-gauge, fairly close range shot to the chest. He must have been turned because it comes out under his arm. There's wadding, if you're familiar with shotgun, under his arm. The second shot ended up, and there's going to be some question about the direction of that shot, but ended up
Oh, good. So they did
entering
get money. Good.
his skull cavity, and the gases from that shot literally exploded his head like a watermelon hit with a sledgehammer. All that was left was the front of his face. Everything else was gone. His brain exploded out of his head, hit the ceiling in the shed, and dropped to his feet.
Opioid addiction usually starts with some type of a medical procedure, a dental or medical procedure, and they get put on pain medication, and they don't get good instruction on how to use it and how to get off of it. And that's how it happens. That's why I won't take it. That's why I'm on the medical marijuana for pain. Yeah. Yeah. I don't. I could get it because of the fibromyalgia and the arthritis. I could get it. I don't, because I know they say that marijuana is addictive, but I don't think it is, because I mean, I can go without it, and it's not like, I mean, I don't have any withdrawal symptoms. I don't crave it. I don't, when I don't have it. But I remember one time my dad was, when I was younger, and we've just found out I had fibromyalgia. My dad had arthritis. That's I probably got the arthritis from my dad. And he would occasionally give me one of his pain pills. And he was out of town one time. And I have depression. I have clinical depression, and I'm on antidepressants. But there was one time he was out of town, and I was feeling depressed. And I thought, I could go take one of Dad's pain pills, and I'd feel better. Because they elevate my mood too. And at that moment was when I realized I can't take, and I was like in my 20s. I was like, I can't take pain pills. I can't do it, because right now I'm wanting to take it for the wrong reason. And so after that, I'll take it if, I've had lots of surgeries, so I have to take it when I'm in severe pain. But as soon as that severe pain is over with, I'm done. I switch to Tylenol or whatever. Right. I only take it when I need it, when I'm done with it. But Dilaudid, that's another one that I know I can't take pain meds, because Dilaudid is fun. I like Dilaudid too much, and that is how I know that I don't need to be on opioids, because I like it too much when they give me Dilaudid. Now, morphine makes me sick as a dog. I will puke and puke and puke if they give me morphine. So that's listed it's listed as an allergy. I'm not really allergic to it. I have a sensitivity to it. My mom puked with any pain medicine she got, which is kind of what killed her, because she had open heart surgery, so they had to give her pain medicine. And then when she retched, the stitches in her heart ripped and she bled internally, and that's how she died. So thank God I don't puke with everything. But yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people puke with any. I only puke with morphine, thank goodness. But yeah, I only take it during the severe pain. Once that severe pain is gone, like, I don't go get them refilled. If it has a refill on it, I don't. If it's just one bottle, I take it till that's gone, and that's it. When you were on opioids, your fingers got swollen? Or is that your fingers got swollen from when you broke your wrist? Yeah, so probably, we went off on a tangent, but probably he had some type of a medical procedure, or like Johnny Depp. He got addicted because of a dental procedure that he had. So it's yeah, always take 100% of your antibiotics. Don't stop taking them when you feel better, because the germ is still there. You just don't feel it anymore because it's killed off the majority of it. But then it'll come back, and it'll come back fiercely. Ow. Ouch. That hurts just thinking about it. Yow. But yeah, it's because doctors don't, they're just like, oh, take this for the pain, and they don't give enough instructions on managing pain. Pain management is tricky, and doctors they don't get enough education on pain management. And they're just like, here, take this. Probably not, but you'll get used to it. You'll figure out how to deal with it.
Horrendous, horrible, butchering. So to find Alex Murdaugh guilty of murdering his son, you're going to have to accept that within an hour of having a extraordinarily bonding, you can see it in the Snapchat, that he executes him in a brutal fashion. Not believable. Not believable. Now, Maggie is shot running. There's no defensive wounds because she's shot running, and after she falls to the ground and has one bullet that has hit her and probably traveled up and hit her brain, she's on the ground, and whoever the perpetrator was walked up, took that AR, and put one in the back of her head.
Whoever it was.
Executed. Executed. Why? This is going to be interesting because we don't know why. He doesn't know why. He's got theories of this and theories of that. But why? Number one. Number two, what was it in that hour between when he's yucking it up with Paul? And let me say this to you. His record, he was interviewed. He comes home and finds, there's no question about this. They've got telemetry from his car. He left the house at 9:06, returns at 10:01 after seeing his mother who has dementia. Now remember, that day, his father, who is dying, is taken to the hospital. Mom's home alone with the housekeeper. Perfectly reasonable for him to want to go see her. And later than usual, because his father's not there. He's in the hospital. He dies 2 days later. His father dies 2 days later. So the question is, if he leaves at 9:06 and he's back at 10:01, he literally, I mean, and he can account, cars and the cell phone records account for where he was between 9:06 and 10:01. Now, the cell phone records, and you're going to hear this from their own experts, are incomplete. They're incomplete. And we're to submit, one of the reasons they're incomplete, and by the way, how do they find Maggie's phone? Maggie's phone was thrown out on the side of the road about a quarter of a mile away from, a little bit more, maybe a half a mile, from the Moselle property, thrown out on the side of the road. They found it by using Find My iPhone. And the way they did that, they had to open it or have access. Who gave them the code to open the phone? Now, Murdaugh. And it's not destroyed, it's just thrown on the side of the phone. What you're also going to see is that Alex Murdaugh was calling that phone at 9:06. As he leaves the house, he did call her twice and texted her. And we also know that at 9:06, as he cranks his car, as the cell phone records show that, as the telemetry data shows the cell phone linking up with the car, that phone is being thrown on the side of the road almost a half a mile away. Now that is Houdini. That is magic. That is inexplicable. Now, I was making notes while the Attorney General was talking. But let me tell you what is more believable. The night he comes home and finds his wife and son butchered. And when I say butchered, you're going to see these photographs. When I see them now, after having seen them for the last 4 or 5 months, it still shocks me. It still is tough to look at. It still bothers me. And he comes home and finds his son laying in his own blood with his brain laying at his feet, shot to hell. He walks over, he checks to see if there's any life there, although, I mean, he's seeing his brain laying outside his body. He knows there's nothing there. He goes over and tries to get a pulse out of Maggie. No pulse there. Calls 911. I want you to hear that 911 tape. It is a man hysterical, in grief, trying to figure out what's going on. And he tells the 911 operator that he's concerned, and he drives back up to the house. And by the way, you can't see, I've been out there, you can't see the shed where you might see the top of the shed. There are pine trees between the front porch or the porch on the house and the dog pens. And it's not a third of a mile, maybe by the way the crow flies, but it takes a little bit longer to drive down there. And this is not unusual for them to communicate by cell phone or text, even when they're all on the same property. It's 1,100 acres, big property. They hunted it. So what I'm trying to say to you is that the Attorney General has given you his view. And again, you can't see the shed. And I'm going to ask the judge at some point during this trial to ask you, the jury, to be able to go to the scene so you can see it. You can understand the proportions. You can understand the details. Because the facts are what matter here. The facts. Let me give you another fact. You're going to hear their witnesses explain the catastrophic injuries to Paul. That his head literally exploded. And whoever shot him with that shotgun was probably no more than 3 feet away. Maybe closer, maybe a little further away. His head exploded. You would be covered in blood from head to foot. Head to foot. In blood. They seized his clothes that night. Sled did. And they well, first of all, you're going to see in the videos from the officers that arrived that night, there's no blood on him. They didn't find any blood on him. Sled's testing indicated 12 different places on his shirt and pants. No human blood detected. Period. Okay? You'll see pictures. White t-shirt, no blood on it. Those are facts. Those aren't theories. Those are facts. Another fact that is, I think, the reason we're here today. When you hear those questions on the videotapes on the night, now he's found his wife and son brutally butchered. You can hear on the 911 tape, he is hysterical. He comes in and out. It's consistent. If any of you have ever, you got to use your experience as part of this deliberation process. Your human experience. Who's ever suffered the catastrophic loss of a friend or a family member, it's numbing. It's the minute you find out, or if you see them dead, it's numbing. You go into shock. So anything he said that night is in the context of just an hour or two before finding his wife and son butchered. He drove back up to the house while he's on 911 saying, I got to get a gun. Whoever did this might be out there. And he gets a gun. What's fascinating about that is he gets a 12-gauge shotgun, and he grabs some shells. These people hunt a lot. They have guns everywhere. He grabs some shells. He puts a 16-gauge, a 12-gauge, grabbed a 12-gauge shotgun, put a 12-gauge buckshot in, and then he put a 16-gauge buckshot in. That's how shook up he was. Guy hunted all his life, and he put a shell in that you couldn't fire a 16-gauge from a 12-gauge. Makes no sense. He was traumatized. GSR, their own expert at SLED said the amount of particles of GSR are consistent with him going up and picking that shotgun up. They want to talk about GSR? Again, if you fired a shotgun twice and a rifle 6 times, you'd be covered in GSR. Those are the facts. That's not his theory. The facts. Now let's talk a little bit about these ARs. Again, you're going to hear testimony. A lot of guns. They had a gun room. I don't live in Carlton County. I live in downtown Columbia. Ain't no gun rooms in downtown Columbia. But apparently if you live on 1,100 acres and you hunt deer, and you hunt whatever they were planting those sunflowers for, quail, again, not a big number. You have a lot of guns. The truth is, in 2017, and you'll hear the testimony, that Alec bought 2 blackouts, one for Paul and one for Buster, his other son, who's sitting out in the audience. And Paul had his stolen. He bought another one for Paul. Now, Paul was very irresponsible with guns, cars. He'd leave guns around. He'd leave guns in cars. He oftentimes left guns down at the dog pens, in the feed room. Now, I can't tell you whether he was shot with his own weapon or not, or his mom was shot with his weapon or not. But I can tell you that they weren't shot by Alex. They don't have the guns. There's no way to tell conclusively without having the weapons what weapons those were fired by, and we'll be talking a little bit with the SLED experts about that. The sort of overarching issue here is why murder in June 7th, 2021, why is it September of 2022 before they charge him? And I will tell you what happened that night, and this is a problem. He's questioned, and the questioning is pretty aggressive. You'll hear it. He's traumatized. They suspect him. They show up, he's got a shotgun. They suspect him. And the next morning, 2 people found butchered here in Carlton County, Moselle Road. The police announced, don't worry. There's no danger to y'all. There's nobody out there that could pose a danger to you. Because you see, they decided that night he did it. Without forensics, without cell phones, without any of that. And they've been pounding that square peg in the round hole for the last, since June of 2021, resulting in charges in September of 22. And so if he felt, and he did, and you'll hear it, the accusatory fashion he's being interviewed in, he may not have dealt all the facts. But by the way, whether he'd been down to the dog pens that night or not, really doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. Because you're going to see cell phone activity that would be, let me put it to you this way. Paul's phone, 850. Maggie's phone, later than that, 854. Clearly, is still being used. At 9:06, he's up at the house, getting in the car, cranking it up to drive over and see his mom. He says, a few hundred yards away, it's a little bit further than that. But the point of the matter is, he would have had to have executed both of them, got back up to the house, got the bloody clothes off. And by the way, they seized his clothes from that night. They'd never searched his house for any other clothes that we know of. Although that night, he gave permission and they got a search warrant. Go to my house. Go look through everything. Where are the bloody clothes? Where are the bloody clothes? And of course, I would tell you that they've woven this story together because they want everything to be consistent. What's important about that is the judge, and by the way, there's no eyewitness. There's no forensics tying him to the murder. When I say forensics, fingerprints, blood, whatever, tying him to shooting anybody that night. The cell phone records would indicate he would have had less than 10 minutes to kill him, get up to the house, get in the car and crank it up. He'd be covered in blood. Now, if they think he was beginning to establish an alibi, there's no evidence of that. The evidence is consistent with him seeing them earlier at the dog pen. And by the way, that audio they have of him and Maggie, they're talking about one of the dogs killing a chicken. And they were debating whether it was a guinea hen or a chicken. No animosity. Very normal discussion. Paul's very happy. We know that Paul, after that, is texting back and forth with the girl about going to the movies. Nobody's down there threatening him. Daddy's not pulling out a shotgun and killing him. For, 10 minutes after that, he's texting this girl. So, big question. One shooter or two? Two guns, shotgun and an AR. And by the way, Maggie has no defensive wounds because she's running. What's she running from? And could you shoot? Typically, she had a little shed right, probably 150 feet from the feed room on the other side of a wall. Perhaps she heard the shotgun blast and came around and saw somebody or two people, and whoever it was opened up. Was there enough time to kill Paul and then find the AR and then ambush Maggie? Much more likely there were two people, but again, we don't have to prove anything. Let me sort of share the framework in which you should examine this. You have agreed to follow the law, and here's the law. Here is the law. He didn't do it. He is presumed innocent. As you sit there right now, when you look at him, you have to believe he is innocent. He didn't do it. Now, let me tell you, that's so difficult to do. I get it. And the way maybe the best way to explain it is this. This morning or yesterday, nobody really reads newspapers anymore, but if you're reading the newspaper, looking at the internet, and you read the police had arrested somebody for some heinous crime, the natural inclination of everybody, all of y'all, is to say, thank God they caught him or her. Thank God that person is in custody. And you did something that's so natural. We all do it. You presumed the police had arrested the person that committed the crime. You presumed him or her guilty. That is the natural thing to do. And you know what? That's fine for you to do any other day except today, because you took an oath to follow the law. And the law is he is innocent. He's presumed innocent. That is your presumption. Your mental framework is he didn't do it. They've got to prove it to me beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, what's even more difficult, and this isn't a contest, this isn't a game, this isn't who wins and who loses. This is about justice. You know, Oliver Wendell Holmes, one of the justices of the Supreme Court, once said, jury duty is the highest duty a citizen can perform for their country in peacetime. Because you are protecting us from them, from the state, from the government. That's the foundation of our Constitution, is that the individual has the right to be presumed innocent, has the right to a jury trial, has a right to have his or her peers sit in judgment of them. That's you. And the framework is you presume him innocent, and you cannot convict him until the state proves to you beyond a reasonable doubt of his guilt. And a reasonable doubt is the kind of doubt which would cause an ordinary person to hesitate to act in the more important decisions in their life. Now, what makes this even more complicated is there's no direct evidence. There's no eyewitness. There's no camera. There's no fingerprints. There's no forensics tying him to the crime. None. None. I say that without any fear of contradiction whatsoever. None. And what the judge is going to tell you is, to the extent the state relies on circumstantial evidence, the circumstances must be consistent with each other, and when taken together, point conclusively to the guilt of the accused beyond a reasonable doubt. If these circumstances merely portray the defendant's behavior as suspicious, the proof has failed. Now, this smoke they've created is about suspicion. I mean, if you show up at the scene and you got the wife, the wife especially dead, and the guy's got a shotgun, you know, it's pretty logical for the cops to jump to the conclusion he did it. And the problem is that as they came to that conclusion, they have pounded that square peg in the round hole, and you're going to hear about it. They've ignored some witnesses. For instance, that blue tarp showed up with a blue tarp.
Yep.
That witness who said he showed up with a blue tarp was shown a blue rain jacket that he talked about. Said that's not it. That's not what he brought here that morning. I mean, I talked to her. She says, no. It was a blue tarp. And what was that? I would indicate.
Objection is sustained. You may proceed.
I would tell you that the testimony you're going to hear is inconsistent with the Attorney General's represented to you, based on interviews done by people other than me. So, what I'm telling you is this, that as you sit here and listen, every time there's a witness that takes that witness stand that the state's put up there, you see, you judge the credibility, whether to believe a witness or not believe a witness, whether to believe one witness against many, many against one. You're going to have to evaluate the testimony you hear from this witness stand with a critical eye. Critical eye. I mean, if you've got uncontested scientific evidence, you accept it. I've got no problem with that. These cell phone records he keeps talking about, I would say to you, are not necessarily accurate to the extent they're reliable. I will also tell you that there's going to be a bunch of people, and I will have been promised something or threatened with something that may take the witness stand and say something. But I tell you what they're not going to say. They're not going to say they saw him kill him. They're not going to say that they were involved in it. They're not going to say anything that would give you a comfort level in their testimony. Now, all of you have indicated that you will follow the law. And I say this one last time. He didn't do it. He didn't butcher his son and wife. And you need to put from your mind any suggestion that he did. You've been picked because you said you could be fair. You were picked because you said you could follow the law. You were picked because Alex Murdaugh believes that you can be fair. Now, if during this process over the next however long we're here, I say something or do something, which most certainly based on my career, I will do, that irritates you or angers you. Sometimes I'm a little abrupt. Don't hold that against Alex, hold it against me. If I say something that offends you in some way, don't hold that against Alex, hold it against me. Remember, as you sit there right now, in your mind, he didn't do it. He is innocent. He would require a verdict of not guilty from you. That's the law. That's your oath. Thank you.
Hey, Ken.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to send you to the jury room for a break while I discuss scheduling with everyone. Please do not discuss the case. As I mentioned to you earlier, you're not allowed to discuss the case at all until you've heard the entire case and you've heard the instructions of law. So please go to the jury room.
Courtroom staff and even our IT.
Murdaugh believes that you can be fair.
As he is a first responder that arrived at the scene, unfortunately the audio does not appear to be working, so I'm informed, despite efforts of courtroom staff and even our IT folks to try to get it going. I've been also told that the company that installed this for the court is not here, and they've been able to do this. So unfortunately, given the lateness of the hour, which I don't think we could finish him anyway, because the video in and of itself is fairly long.
9:30 tomorrow morning, they still haven't done whatever you just said.
I will personally come up with a solution to present evidence to this jury, but I think, I don't even think we could really get him done today anyway if we started, because even the body worn itself is 20, 30 minutes long, depending on which exhibit we put in.
Yeah, and I think this is wise because even if we started right now, I don't think you could get the whole video played. And I'm going to ask, and I'll tell the Attorney General now, we're going to ask him to play the whole video for completeness rather than picking out little excerpts. So that may take 45 minutes.
Any objection to that?
We had prepared excerpts. There's a lot of discussion of law enforcement as they're arriving at the scene, and I have theories. But if you want to play the whole thing, I'm fine with that.
That settles that. Okay. If you bring the jury, I'm going to excuse them to 9:30 if they're ready to come in. As a court's exhibit. The court's exhibit number 2. No, I don't need it. Any comment by the state or the defense?
No, Your Honor, none from Mr. Murdaugh.
None from the state, Your Honor.
No. Anything before the jury comes?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the video he is about to show has, I believe, and I believe he agrees, images which are under the order signed by you. And so as they're being proposed to be shown, if I have something or he has something, we're going to, obviously under that order, we have to disclose that to you. And if you approve the showing, we've got some logistical issues. If you give me just a minute, these monitors are, that one is not working, but this monitor is viewable from the audience, and we'd like to cover it up with some MacGyver-like device that's been developed by Mr. Waters, where you tape paper, we can flip back and forth. So if somebody has some tape, I'd like to do that before he begins so that nothing's shown back there. And you have paper too? I'm sorry. That's a MacGyver thing. Is that a compliment?
Man, that last trial spoiled me. I'm gonna have to work this time.
Appeared to be a large amount of blood around.
Too far.
You have to ask dispatch to.
So for the most part,
That order, we have to disclose that to
Got
you.
good sound this time.
every 2 months.
It's very important that you keep that, follow that instruction. I know that many of you are not accustomed to sitting for long periods of time, and certainly not in settings like this. But if at any time you need a break, notify the bailiff, who will bring it to my attention, or raise your hand so that I could see, and we'll take a break at any time. Any juror would need a break, or any court participant for that matter. And we're ready to proceed by the state.
Yes, we are, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, the state would call Sergeant Daniel Green.
Raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give to the court in this trial will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may have a
There's
seat.
Becky!
Adjust that microphone so that it fits you.
This is all her fault,
If you'll
y'all.
state your name and spell your last name for the record.
My full name is Daniel Green. My last name Greene.
Bye, Jill.
Sergeant Green, how you doing today?
I'm good.
All right, tell us where you work.
I work for the Colleton County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, and your rank is sergeant, obviously, is that correct?
That's correct.
Tell us just a little bit about yourself. Just give us just a little bit of your background that led you to your career in law enforcement, if you would, please.
Sure. I went to school here, grew up here, went to college at Charleston Southern University. I got a degree in social studies education, taught for a little while, and then got into law enforcement. Just kind of fell into it and liked it. And I've been here since 2014.
You started with the Sheriff's Department in 2014?
That's correct.
All right, and what was your first job that you did, or how does your career progress?
I started at the jail. I worked there for just over a year, and then I was moved to the road patrol. I was on road patrol for several years, moved up the ranks to sergeant, where I was a road patrol supervisor, and now I'm a detective.
Okay. When did you become detective?
Earlier last year, it would have been June of last year.
Back in June of 2021, what was your job at that particular time with the Sheriff's Department?
In June of 2021, I was a road patrol sergeant supervisor.
All right, and explain how that works. What's your exact role as a sergeant and a road patrol supervisor?
So for the most part, I'm assigned a team consisting of 3 to 4 deputies, just depends. That include a corporal as well as several other deputies. My job primarily is to supervise them in their in a 12-hour shift. We answer calls for service, Sometimes I'll go with other deputies to calls that require more than one officer to be present. But the majority of my job is supervising what they do.
And during June of 2021, were you working day shift or night shift, or how did that work?
I was on night shift at that point.
And what are the hours of the night shift?
So we swap every 2 months. So 2 months you'll be on days, 2 months you'll be on nights. For those hours, it's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay. And let me take you to the evening of June 7th, 2021. Were you working that particular evening?
I was.
What shift were you working that day?
We were on night shift,
And again, so what hours would that be?
working from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
So you went on duty at 6 p.m. Is that
I did.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said you're the sergeant. What was do you have a squad that you're supervising that are out during that shift? Explain that to the jury, if you would, please.
So that shift consisted of myself being the sergeant. I had a corporal and 2 deputies working as well. And at that point, I had a lieutenant who was my immediate supervisor. He was working as well.
All right. And can you tell me who those people were?
Sure. So my corporal was Corporal Janicki, and the 2 deputies working with me were Deputy William Pruitt and Deputy Chad McDowell.
And the lieutenant was who?
Lieutenant Lonnie Nettles.
Did you, on the evening of June 7th, 2021, get a call for service at 4147 Moselle Road?
I did.
You remember approximately what time that was?
Later in the evening, several hours into my shift.
Okay. And did you ultimately respond to that location?
I did.
What was reported to you that led to the call for service from dispatch?
That there was a caller who stated he had found his wife and son shot.
And so tell me what happens then. You get that report. What do you do?
So I get that call for service. Obviously, we immediately respond. In situations like that, we would respond with lights and sirens to get there as quickly as possible.
You're driving fast to get there?
Yes.
The lights are on?
Lights were on, siren was on. I think it still took me close to 20 minutes to actually get to the scene from where I was. But
You have to ask dispatch to clarify the address?
I did. Once I got out there, it's a very dark area, very rural area on Moselle Road. There were not a whole lot of residences in the area, and I did need clarification once I got out there to confirm the address. Then I located the address on a mailbox across the street from a driveway.
So you saw the mailbox in the driveway you entered, is that correct?
That's correct.
The driveway that you entered that had this mailbox, where did it ultimately lead? What structures were there as you pulled up to the scene?
As I pulled down the long driveway, when I got to the end of it, there was a dog kennel area on the left as well as a shed area on the right.
And that was the driveway with the mailbox, correct?
That was.
Is this location where the scene was, is it in Colleton County?
It is.
Tell me just a little bit before we get into more specifics. What was the, you said it was dark. What was the weather like? What was the conditions of the scene or the weather in the scene like?
So quite normal for June around here. It's rather hot, humid. It had been raining a little bit off and on that evening. It was not raining at the time that I actually responded to the scene.
Okay. Were you the first law enforcement officer or first responder on the scene?
I was.
Were there others, other first responders following close behind?
The additional first responder that was directly behind me worked for Colleton County Fire Rescue. He pulled in almost the same time I did.
When you would arrive at the scene, before we talk about what you actually experienced at this scene, what is your main job at a scene like this? What are you there to do as a first responder, the first officer on the scene?
Yeah, so a major crime scene like that, my job is to get there, secure the scene. And what I mean by secure the scene is ensure that there are no individuals there that would potentially cause harm to additional first responders coming there or any witnesses or victims that are already on scene. Preserve any evidence that might be there, and then wait for investigators to arrive as I gather information from anybody else that is already on scene.
Okay. So you're going to gather basic information, but your job's not to investigate it in great detail.
That's correct.
Okay. As you arrived at this scene, again, what had been reported to you by dispatch?
That a male caller had called and said he found his wife and son shot.
And from that report to you, about how long did it take you to ultimately make it onto the scene?
It was roughly about 20 minutes.
Okay. When you arrived on scene, when you said one of the things that you do is secure the scene, were you at all concerned about any perpetrators still being there at that point in time?
When I arrived, not necessarily, just because he had already been there for quite a while. Whenever he called, it seemed the way the call came in that he discovered them like that and that there was nobody else there other than him and the wife and son.
So you're the first officer on scene, but you're not thinking the perpetrators are still there.
It's something you have to keep in the back of your mind, but not necessarily at the forefront.
Okay. You didn't come in hot with guns drawn or anything like that?
No.
When you arrived at the scene and you walked and got out of your car, what did you see?
So as soon as I got out of my vehicle, I was walking down the rest of the driveway, which went between the dog kennel and the shed. As I could see Mr. Murdaugh down at the end of the driveway. As I approached toward him, I could see the male victim laying on the ground to my left, as well as the female victim on the ground to my right. The male victim was close to a small shed in the dog kennel on the left. There was a large deal of blood that had pooled around his body. Same thing for the female victim on the right. Also a large amount of blood around her body.
As you approached and at first saw the male victim and the female victim, what was your assessment? Was there any possible signs of life from your?
My initial assessment was that there was not. There appeared to be a large amount of blood around each of them, as well as brain matter.
Did you ultimately have a conversation with Mr. Murdaugh when you were out there?
I did.
And do you see him here in the courtroom today, the person that you talked to?
I do.
And can you point him out to the jury, please?
Yes, sir. He's right there, wearing a dark blue or black jacket.
Your Honor, can the record reflect that he's identified Mr. Murdaugh?
It does.
When you ultimately approached Mr. Murdaugh, what's the first thing that you did?
The first thing I did was ensure that he did not have any weapons on him. That's standard procedure for arriving on a scene like that. Any kind of weapons that are anywhere on the scene, I want to be aware of just so I can know whether they're there or not. And if they are there, who has access to them at any point. And that's for my safety as well as other responding officers and for anyone else that's on scene.
Did Mr. Murdaugh give you any possible explanation for this when you approached him?
His immediate reaction was to start telling me about an incident that had happened with his son with a boating accident.
With the boating accident?
Yes, sir.
Had you asked him anything about that?
I did not.
You ultimately, were you wearing a body worn camera that particular day?
I was.
You ultimately had a conversation with Mr. Murdaugh for a fairly extended period of time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you ever see any tears in your interactions with Mr. Murdaugh?
He did not appear to be crying. He was upset, but I did not see any visible tears.
Did Mr. Murdaugh tell you that he had any sort of firearm?
He did. He stated that he had left from that scene, went to the residence, grabbed a shotgun from that residence, and then brought it back because he felt like he needed to have it just in case something else were to happen.
He told you he had gone back to the residence after finding the victims to get that gun?
He did.
What, if anything, did you do once he told you that he had gotten a gun?
First, he pointed out where the gun was. It was leaning against the vehicle that he was driving at the time. I could see that it was a camouflage shotgun. I spoke with him for a few more minutes, and just based off of how nervous he was acting and anxious and upset, I decided it was in everyone's best interest to get that shotgun and secure it in my vehicle so that no one else had access to it.
Okay. So you put that shotgun in your vehicle, is that correct?
I did.
What did you ultimately do with that shotgun? Did you later turn it over to additional law enforcement?
Yes, after it was secured in my vehicle, once SLED arrived on scene to do their further investigation, it was then turned over to SLED.
Bear with me 1 second.
Okay.
Your Honor. State 3, I believe I've moved to the without objection.
It's admitted without objection.
May I ask that we have the Elmo working, please?
Yeah. Man doesn't even know how to say his own name.
Judge, do you want to see it first? I believe it's submitted without objection. It's not a graphic image. Thank you, Your Honor. May I publish it to the jury?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to put what's been marked as. I'm going to put what's been marked as State's Exhibit 3 up on the screen and see if I can get it the right way. All right. You can't see. Can you see that? You probably can't.
I can.
You can? All right. And do you recognize the what's in that particular image?
I do.
All right. And tell me what that is, please.
That's the shotgun that I secured in my vehicle on the scene.
Okay. See,
It might be. It might be because it was a family name, and there was other people that went by the first name. Because I dated 2 juniors. One was a third. So David went by Junior. His family called him Junior. Calvin went by Skip because when he was a baby, he wore a little skipper outfit. So they started calling him Skip. And then Frank, he was the third. They called him Little Frank. Richard Alexander Murdaugh III. That's probably why he goes by the middle name. Yeah, they should have called him Trey. I watched him get a call from one of my ex-boyfriends. What are you talking about me on the internet?
Sergeant Green, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 4 for identification at this time. And see if you recognize this particular item.
Yes, sir. That would be the shotgun that I secured.
All right. Your Honor, this time we would move Exhibit 4 into evidence.
Objection. Any objection?
No, sir.
Admitted.
May I have Sergeant Green show this firearm to the jury?
Yes.
I'll be sure not to point at anybody. You know what gauge that firearm is? Please, gauge. Thank you. All right, Sergeant Green, I'm going to show you one other document before we move on to some other matters. All right, Your Honor, I believe I'd move to admit that State's Exhibit 2 without objection.
And no objection, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to show this exhibit to you real quick and see if you recognize this document.
Yes, sir. That would be the chain of custody for the shotgun.
All right, is there a signature on that document?
It is.
All right, and what does this chain document reflect? Can you just generally explain what this means to the jury, please?
That I originally took possession of that weapon and then turned it over to state investigators.
All right. May I publish this exhibit, Your Honor?
Yes.
So up here, it lists that there was a Benelli Super Black Eagle. Did you unload this?
They're always made safe when they go in the courtroom. but everybody still freaks out if they get pointed in the wrong direction. It's stupid.
Particular shotgun?
I did not.
Okay. But you ultimately turned the shotgun in its loaded state over to the agent listed here, is that correct?
I did.
Did you alter or change the weapon in any way between the time you took it and the time you took it over to SLED?
No, I didn't manipulate it in any way.
I mean, I know you're always supposed to treat a gun like it could fire, but if it's in the courtroom, it's already been made sure that it's safe.
Sergeant Green, I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification at
really
this time.
bad.
State's Exhibit
I don't
number
know
1.
what
See
I
if
did.
you recognize this.
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. And can you tell the jury what this is on this desk right here?
That would be the body camera footage from that incident.
From your arrival at Moselle Road and through the investigation until at some point you turned it off after it no longer needed to be on. Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
All right, Your Honor, at this time I'll move to admit State's Exhibit number 1.
I know.
Clarification.
I
that
know.
is This
I
officer's
know.
body cam, which is a camera that's mounted on his body. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's mounted on. Yeah.
So admit it.
Your Honor, permission to publish this exhibit to the jury. I'll need the. Your Honor, I would point out that there are graphic images on this, so everybody needs to cover up their monitors, please.
Parties to control what is presented and published in accordance with the court's order. The parties to police that yourselves.
Your Honor, we intend on covering the screen up when he gets to the graphic images and then uncovering it.
Well, they come pretty quickly, as you.
I remember. So Mr. Griffin's ready.
To the hospital?
Yeah, stay in town. I'm heading out there.
Advised a female shot in the head. The son is shot also. Not breathing. Same out further.
717 around Moselle.
Yep.
Sergeant Green, this is your body cam video, is that correct?
That's correct.
The first 15 minutes or so of this video are you running code, running at full speed or at least reasonable speed to get to this scene as fast as you can, is that correct?
Yes, sir. My lights and
What?
my lights and siren were activated.
Oh my God. Okay, I stand
Your
corrected.
Honor, at this time, I'm going to fast forward it until he arrives, I believe, without
I
objection
thought-
from the defense.
See, I thought they were always clear before they got in the courtroom. I stand corrected now. Yeah. And it was the gun expert that did it. It was the gun expert that pointed the gun at the judge in the Hannah Gutierrez case.
Okay, honey.
We get to see some of this video, though, I thought.
Central Battalion 1's in here waiting to.
Are they allowed to have guns in Canada?
Past the driveway that I was supposed to have turned down. Like I said, everything's kind of dark out there. It wasn't clearly indicated, so.
Central, that was 4147 or 57?
4147. Keep your vehicle in the driveway with the flashes on. That's going to be the caller.
copy. I'm going on scene. It's got a long driveway, but the mailbox out front is labeled. It's not at the end of the driveway. You might be up by the house.
The correct number for 4147 Moselle?
It is.
And is that the incident location where you discovered the victims?
That's correct.
Copy.
I thought I saw it during the trial, though. I thought they showed it.
Copy.
Yes, he did.
Sheriff.
So, yeah. Hannah Gutierrez was the armorer on set, and she loaded a real bullet.
There
into
to the
her gun.
left of the screen. What did you see right there?
To the left was Paul's body. He was laying face down on the ground.
I didn't
Large
know
pool
if
of
they
blood
were
around
allowed
him,
or not.
as well as a great deal of water that was immediately around his body.
Yep.
Was it that water? Was it just
Or
around?
maybe
Was
rust.
it down the entire kennel concrete pad, or was it mostly just?
No, you could see walking down the kennel as I got out. The closer I got to Paul's body, the more water there was.
Had it been raining enough at this point in time to wet the entire to cause that amount of water?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
What is this,
Rule.
Alec? What are you doing?
Answer the question, please.
Jeez.
I don't recall if it had been raining a whole lot that evening, but given where the water was, it did not appear that rain had caused that water.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is an objection. If I sustain the objection, you are to then disregard the question and any responses. If I overrule the objection, then you may consider the responses and the question is deemed appropriate. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I backed it up just a little bit, apparently too far, so I'm just going to roll from here again.
He's pretending to cry. He does cry real tears when he cries, though. Because he gets all wet and snotty and gross.
Got a whiskey fox, whiskey Mike.
What are we seeing to the right of this image?
So on the right would be Maggie's body, also laying face down on the ground. Large pool of blood around her head.
And we see an individual standing. Who is that?
The individual standing in the background would be Mr. Murdaugh.
The person you previously identified in this courtroom?
That's correct.
Both gunshot wounds to the head.
And just to be clear, this location that you're standing right now is in Colleton County. Is that correct?
It is, yes.
I just let you know because of the scene. I did go get a gun and bring it down here.
It's in your vehicle? Do you have any guns on you at all?
No, sir. It's leaning up against the side of my car.
You're fine, man. You're fine. Turn around for me.
I don't have any.
Okay. Yes, sir. I see that. Okay. This is your wife and son? Okay.
I noticed you shined your flashlight just a few seconds ago
I think
on
he's trying to
the black
look
vehicle.
remorseful.
What did you
Not
shine your flashlight
remorseful.
on just then?
Sad.
You could see the shotgun leaning up against the side of that vehicle.
Were the flashers on the vehicle right there in the image?
I
Do you
believe so,
recall?
yes.
It's bad. Check the pulses.
Yes, sir. This is the firearm you brought from inside the house?
Sir, yes, sir. I went and get. This is a long story. My son was in a boat wreck a few months back. He's been getting threats. Most of it's been benign stuff we didn't take serious.
Okay.
He's been getting like punched. I know that's somebody. I know that's what it is.
Okay. When did
Was that when you previously testified that he mentioned the boat case or boat wreck?
That's correct. Prior to me asking him anything about it, he did mention it.
you get home? Right when you called, or did you go to the house first? Where is the house?
I came to the house first. My mom has late stages Alzheimer's, and my dad is in the hospital.
Okay.
I left. I don't know what time. I can go back on my phone and tell you the exact times. Did you check?
Okay. Did I check what?
Did you check them?
We got medical guys that are that's what they're gonna do. Okay.
What are they doing? Can they hurry?
They are. Yes, sir. That gentleman that was out here already, he's
You
one of the
think
battalion
they're
chiefs.
still
okay?
alive? You saw their bodies, dude.
Before that discussion, did Mr. Murdaugh offer to go on his phone and check?
He did.
Time.
He did. He wanted to verify exactly the timing of his arrival.
How did you pull up? You from back there?
I went to the house and they weren't home, which was odd. I tried to call
Okay.
and then I knew they had been down here before I left to go to my mom's.
Okay.
And so that is loaded.
Okay.
You might want to unload it.
Is this the only firearm with you? This is the only one, or is there any more in the truck?
I believe that's it.
You think that's the only one?
I'm 99%.
Do you normally
certain that's
have
right.
any other firearms in your vehicle?
I don't, but
Okay.
occasionally there's a pistol in there.
Okay.
Oh, please,
you're
Hunter.
putting stuff on your hands. What are you doing right there?
Those are just gloves, so I can put on my hands
where
to
they are.
limit the contamination of any evidence.
You put those on before you handle the firearm. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Just wait right here for me for a second, okay?
Copy.
What are you doing right now?
At this point, I'm walking back to my vehicle to secure that shotgun inside my vehicle.
We can actually see you holding it to the left of the screen. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's me holding the barrel of that shotgun.
Explain to us real quick a body worn camera. Where is that located, and where are these images coming from?
I generally put it right here on my chest, dead center of my chest.
And how is it activated? How is it turned off? Can you explain that to the jury a little bit? as well?
So most of these cameras are activated in the patrol vehicles that deputies on patrol have. They're activated whenever you activate your blue lights. So as soon as I turn my blue lights on, it activates my dash camera as well as my body worn camera.
And then how do you ultimately turn it off?
It's got a button on the front of it that you can press. If it did not originally activate it, you would press that button to turn it on to start the recording. And then whenever you're done recording, you press that same button to stop the recording.
In this particular instance, how did it get activated? Was it when you turned on your blue lights to run code to the scene?
That's correct. It was activated with my blue lights.
And I've used the term run code. Do you know what that means?
Yes.
And can you explain that to the jury, please?
Sure. Running code is just whenever you turn your lights on as well as your siren to get wherever you need to get fast.
When you're moving quickly to respond to an emergency situation.
That's correct.
653 outside. Go ahead, sir. Well, I've already spoken with Captain Deal.
Right there, you laid the shotgun inside your vehicle. Is that correct?
That's correct. I laid it in front of the passenger seat in the front.
Did it remain there until it was turned over to SLED?
It did.
Go ahead, sir.
To the left of the screen, again, that's where the Paul was. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's Paul laying on the ground.
And is that where you saw the water that you
It is.
described earlier?
It is.
Well, I've already spoken with Captain Deal. He's got crime scenes in contact with them. He's also going to give us the assistance of a couple of field agents. Roger that. No, they come out.
They are dead, aren't
I
they?
just turn on those.
Yes, sir. That's what it looks
I feel sorry for any dog that loses their owner.
Where are you now?
What is Mr. Murdaugh doing at this particular time?
He's on the phone pacing around talking to someone. I'm not sure who he was talking to at that point.
Did he ask you to confirm if they were dead?
He did. He asked multiple times while I was on scene.
Did you ever see him, any tears, any physical tears?
I did not.
Did you ever see him approach the bodies?
I did not see him approach them. No.
Did you observe any visible blood on him?
There was no blood on him that I could see.
The bodies, as you saw them, was there a lot of blood around them given the injuries they had suffered?
Yes, there was a pool
know
of blood
the
around
French
each of the
dog
bodies that
was
extended
there.
out from the body.
Bubba was there. Maggie's dog was there. I don't know what other dog. There were several dogs.
Yeah, the police are here now. The police are here now. That's my brother.
Okay. When was the last time you were here with them or talked to them or anything like that?
It It was earlier tonight. I don't know the exact time, but
Okay.
I left. I was probably gone an hour and a half from my mom's, and I saw them about 45 minutes before that.
Okay.
I rode around with Paul for 2 hours this afternoon in the pickup truck.
That's your son, Paul? Okay.
Somebody go to check him.
Yes, sir. They've already checked them.
They did check him?
Yes, sir.
It's official that they're dead?
Yes, sir. That's what it looks like.
When you observed these victims, was it obvious that they had injuries incompatible with life?
Yes, any reasonable person that came upon those bodies would have come to a conclusion that they were deceased.
I'm very sorry.
There's a web, or there used to be. I don't know if it still exists.
He called her parents.
What's
Well, Bubba solved this case. This is how we know he was in the kennels, because we hear him say, Bubba. There used to be a website. It might still be around, I don't know, but it's called Did the Dog Die? Or Does the Dog Die? Where you can look up a movie or a TV show before you watch it to see if the dog dies. Because, like, if you don't want to watch it because the dog's going to die, then you don't have to. I wonder if it's still a thing.
Her name's Maggie Murdaugh. Margaret Brandstetter Murdaugh. How you doing?
What's her birthday?
Pause it right there. What did the defendant just say?
I've never seen Old Yeller. I
Back
would
it up.
watch it.
Margaret Brandstetter Murdaugh. How you doing?
What did the defendant say right there?
So while I'm in the process of gathering information about the two victims from Mr. Murdaugh, somebody walks by behind me and he pauses what he's telling me to say, hey, how you doing?
How you doing?
Yeah.
And who was that he said that to?
I'm not 100% certain. I believe it was a fire rescue individual.
What's her birthday?
9/15/68.
Okay. And what's your son's first name? You said Paul?
Paul Terry Murdaugh.
And what's his birthday?
Jason, if you have anybody
4.
coming through town, if you stop and pick up that tent, I see lights off in the distance.
What are they covering them up?
I got some getting dressed now, Sheriff. I'll have somebody stop and grab it.
Tell them they don't have to do that. They don't need to. Preserve what we can.
653. Where's it at? I'm in town.
Actually, tried to be Delta 8 because he's going to be the only one that's got access.
What's Paul's
to where it is
birthday?
right now.
Got me.
April 14th, 1999, sir.
Put it up as wide as you can. That's fine. You said 99?
Sir?
He was born in 99?
He was born April 14th, 1999.
Okay. What's your first name, sir?
My name is Alex Richard Alexander Murdaugh.
Let me ask you this. In your interactions with Mr. Murdaugh, was he able to understand your questions and respond appropriately to what you were asking?
Yes.
Was he catatonic in any way?
No. He was able to answer all the questions that I asked him.
Was he panicking in any way?
He seemed upset, but I wouldn't say panicky.
Did you notice any labored breathing or anything like that from Mr. Murdaugh?
Yeah, he was breathing heavily. Never once did he complain about not being able to breathe. I mean, there were fire rescue guys out there. He didn't ask for any kind of medical attention or anything like that due to not being able to breathe.
Richard Alexander Murdaugh?
You familiar with the location?
No. Hey, Cody, come around the truck and then go to the building. Come around the truck and then. Yes.
I don't know if it's
What's that?
ours or not. There's a set of footprints behind the trailer there too.
Who's that individual right there?
I'm not sure of his name. I just know that he works for Carlton County Fire Rescue. Carlton County Fire Rescue.
In the background in the center of the screen, it looks like somebody's doing something with some yellow tape. Can you explain what that is to the jury, please?
That's correct. That's Deputy Pruitt, one of the deputies that I supervise. I instructed him to put up crime scene tape to include that vehicle. We put up crime scene tape to try to keep people out of the immediate crime scene area, preserve any possible evidence that's there.
At this point in time, had you noticed any evidence of firearms such as casings or spent shells or anything like that?
Yeah, as I was walking through, you can't necessarily see it on my body camera, but as I was walking through, I could see shell casings, particularly around Maggie's body.
All right. And a shell casing, would they be for like a rifle round or a pistol round?
They appear to be rifle rounds.
And could you tell just from walking by what type of ammunition at that point in time?
I couldn't tell what type. I could tell that they appeared to be rifle, and that's about it.
And again, you weren't stopping to collect those. You were managing the scene as you described before.
That's correct.
Just go over to that corner of the building.
I'm almost here. Let me see what we have first, whether or not we're going to handle that part or not.
What are you shining your light on right there?
So there in the background behind where Mr. Murdaugh is standing, you can see several sets of tire tracks. The grass was really wet that night, so those tracks appeared to be really fresh. So it caught my eye.
All right. And why did it catch your eye?
It just seemed odd that it appeared to be that many sets of tire tracks since he said he pulled up, went to the house, and came back. It just appeared that there were more than just that.
It appeared that there were more tracks than just that.
That's correct.
I see quite a few tire tracks in here. Were any of these you going in and out?
No, I came in here and I left one time and I came back.
Okay.
The rest of them, maybe from earlier, but
Okay.
only two are mine.
Did you go out this way at all?
No.
Really try.
Hey, stay. Got a whole bunch of stuff right there. I don't want to disturb.
If I can't get the door, we can kind of get around that way.
Your best way is probably going to be back through those rocks because we can't get any tracks off those rocks anymore.
No, we'll go back around the other way we just came.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. You have anything for me? Yes. Okay. I'll get that in a little bit. Yeah,
Okay.
Whose vehicle are you approaching right now?
That was the vehicle that Mr. Murdaugh said that he had approached that scene in.
Was that a black Suburban to your recollection?
It is.
What unit's 23 on Moselle? I was 7 unit on scene. Are you behind the house?
There's several of us out here. There's
Right there, that would be Maggie's body right in front of that shed. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's covered up by a sheet at this point.
a long dirt driveway right next to the mailbox that says 4147, and you'll see all our lights down here at this shed thing.
You ain't come through Brick Hollow.
Negative.
Nothing. I'm on duty going out to Moselle.
Who's that standing way off in the distance there?
That would be Mr. Murdaugh.
Where did he spend the majority of his time while you were there after your initial interaction with him?
From this point on, his general time was spent in that area where he's currently standing.
Pretty far away from the scene?
That's correct.
Delta 8653. Telephone Sandy.
What was occurring right there? With the
So what
other
was
deputy?
occurring right there?
Yeah.
So both of those deputies, or Deputy Pruitt would be on the left and Deputy McDowell would be on the right. Deputy McDowell was taking small pieces of crime scene tape and just setting them by shell casings, I believe. As road patrol officers, we don't generally have those little placards that you'll a lot of times see in crime scene photos. But to prevent somebody from accidentally stepping on them due to it being so dark out there, we tend to take something small like a piece of paper, a piece of crime scene tape, set it next to it just to indicate it a little bit better.
Again, part of the job of a first responder to sort of protect the scene until the crime scene investigators get there.
That's correct.
Both these individuals, were you supervising them that night?
I was, yes.
Yeah.
Looking at this perspective right here, to the left of the screen is whose body?
To the left right there in the forefront would be Maggie, and in the further back, you can also see where Paul is laying.
Was Paul next to or in the kennel area?
Yes.
I think his brother. He said he was calling somebody. He said he was calling somebody. Yeah. There's a couple of showcases right there.
Yeah, those will be easy to find. I was just walking a couple of different girls in the ground. It might be harder to see something. Y'all familiar with this family? Yes.
I wasn't until he told the names. Last
Video
name
in later.
Murdaugh.
Did you know this family prior to this?
I did not.
I don't think it's gonna be.
What's that?
Did I tell you?
You said for Evo to do?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Hey.
Who was Evo?
Evo would be Deputy McDowell's K9.
Hey, watch your step. Huh? There. Okay.
Who is that approaching right now?
That would be my immediate supervisor at the time, Lieutenant Lonnie Nettles.
The gentleman in the white shirt is the husband of her, father of him. That is Paul Murdaugh. This is his mother. Paul Murdaugh was that guy in the boating accident from a while back, if you remember.
Yeah.
Just then, were you describing the boat wreck?
Yes, it had been in local news previously, so.
And it was your understanding that Paul was involved in that?
In some way, I had no idea about the actual details of the case to know what his involvement was, honestly.
Most likely. He did have a firearm whenever I pulled up. It's a shotgun that's been secured in my vehicle.
It's 300 blackout.
When you get a chance, can you give this special phone call?
You'll have to give me just a few minutes, but yes, I will.
That dispatch call, was that related to the case in any way?
I don't believe it was. I don't remember what that phone call ended up being about. As a supervisor, if a lot of us are tied up at one time, they will tend to give me a phone call to let me know that a certain call is pending or something else is going on. Just to help keep the radio traffic free, they'll call me on my cell phone instead.
Did your entire squad respond to this this particular call, or did somebody?
There was one deputy that remained in service.
Okay. Did not respond here, but remained on the road.
Correct.
Yeah.
653.
Who can start a log? Who's the most expendable that can start a log? Let's put it that way.
This is. Can you start a crime scene log, please?
A log started. Sled's on the way. Let's push. Can we run the tape?
2007
there to there?
Yes.
From that last
Take-
pole right
start
there
a log.
to that last
Get a
pole.
piece of paper. Start writing names and times. You don't have any kind of paper.
Who's that individual right there in the center of the screen?
To the right. Detective to the right?
Yes.
That would be Deputy Pruitt.
And what did you just ask him to do?
Start a crime scene log.
And tell the jury what that is.
Sure. So a crime scene log is established as soon as additional people start to arrive on scene. We document exactly who comes into the actual crime scene, as well as the exact time that they come into the crime scene.
Here, borrow that.
We can push it from that pole to that pole.
Yep. Sure. I do see some. That look old or fresh? Old, yes.
What are we doing right here with the tape?
So I'm securing it to the corner of that part of the shed to run it along to a shed on the opposite side of that area. We just expanded the crime scene out a little bit further.
To protect a larger area?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You don't need to speak more directly into the mic, or can you increase the volume, Madam Clerk, of that mic? Just a little.
This one is working?
I'm referring to the witness.
Oh, sorry.
Increase his volume or? All right, thank you. First.
Yes, sir. I usually don't have a problem being too quiet, but speak up for us if you would, please. All right, so you're securing the crime scene tape. Let's proceed.
I'll just hold the light for you. Go away to that side. Marty, let's just keep our fingers crossed. Yeah, I think we got it.
This is 5-3, all the responding units to Moselle Road, stop at the road. No one else come down the dirt road. Stop at the road.
Here, 77, probably doing that 66 on 95. Coming.
What's the other way up here?
From back that way, I guess. Where the house is, I guess.
Okay. That must be.
You referring to the Whiskey Mike, left you off with a key? Affirmative.
We've heard on this video the term Whiskey Mike. Can you tell me what that term refers to?
Yeah, when we say Whiskey Mike, we're referring to a white male. A Whiskey Fox or a Whiskey Foxtrot would be a white female.
And in the context of this particular scene, who's the Whiskey Mike and who's the Whiskey Fox or Whiskey Foxtrot?
As I was approaching, you could hear me say to dispatch to my radio that there was a Whiskey Mike, the Whiskey Mike referring to Paul, Whiskey Fox referring to Maggie.
Do we have anything else? Negative. Travis.
He must believe his dad didn't do it. Only thing I can think of. But still, he disgraced his name by stealing from all his clients and
To
everything.
the very right of the screen, well, strike that up. Oh,
Buster
wait.
has a tainted name. You know what I'm saying? Like, forever, Murdaugh. Oh, are you Alex Murdaugh's son? Are you related? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I would want to name my kid after him after that.
Like I was trying to say, I have a notepad. It's just I'm using the back side of all the paper. So all the front side of the paper has names and information on it.
Well, you can borrow mine for a minute. It's perfectly fine, Cody.
Just like as the kid grows up,
They're gonna
say, your name's Alex Murdaugh?
Do you not
You
have any constant
remember?
log sheet?
Or you could be
Hey,
an
717.
attorney named Alex Murdaugh. He killed his family. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's stuck with that name now forever.
Hi.
Or maybe he felt pressured into it just because of the prestige of their family in that area, you know?
Okay.
I don't know.
I will inquire and I'll get back to you. Okay.
Want to close it in? Yeah. That's what I'm gonna have.
Here, do you recognize those individuals?
I do.
Can you tell us who they are?
On the far left would be Detective Tyndall. In the forefront toward the center would be Captain Chapman. And on the other side of him, in the lighter colored shirt with the black vest, was Barry McCroy, worked for Fire Rescue.
Okay. What did the sheriff respond to this particular incident, to your recollection?
Yes, he did.
But as far as who was the senior officer actually working the scene at this point in time until SLED arrives, who was it at this point?
That would be Captain Chapman.
Captain Chapman?
That's correct.
That's what I'm gonna have a couple. I got some right here. Hey, you want us to close that in? Sure. Was that? You want us to close it in? Yeah.
There's a guy, I don't know if you want the other guy knows, whoever Eric is, or just the caller. There's a guy over here that's wanting to talk to him. That's what he was.
Don't even know who Eric is. I know Alex over
Alex.
there. Okay.
Okay.
There's a guy over here that wants to talk to him.
Yeah, but I didn't know if you wanted me to tell him that or if you wanted me to just chill for a minute. Or if you wanted me to escort him over.
He does not need to walk over there.
No, I mean a long way.
He does not need to go over there.
So you can stay there then.
He can't.
Let me ask you this. Before you had referred to a brother arriving, is that correct?
Yes.
And was that a brother? Was he allowed to talk to Alec and go over to Alec?
I believe he did. I don't recall. I never actually interacted with him at all.
And then this discussion right here with Deputy Pruitt, what was going on right there?
So there was someone that had arrived on scene and wanted to go and speak with Mr. Murdaugh. I told him to just wait a minute on allowing him over there so we could determine the best way to allow them to talk, simply because the crime scene was so large and we did not want to contaminate anything that didn't need to be.
Okay. To your knowledge, was that individual, whoever it was, allowed to interact with Mr. Murdaugh?
I believe so. He was eventually, yes.
People that arrived were allowed to go see Mr. Murdaugh, is that correct?
That's correct.
He was not in custody at any time, is that correct?
No.
I don't have the caller and the caller's brother's name in here because I don't know their names yet. But I can get it. But
How do you reveal their name?
I don't know where you were at. I just found the first page I can find.
Female victim, male caller.
And then the other guy, though, I mean, he hasn't came inside the tape
Then
yet.
don't have to worry about him. Just make sure you get the, here.
So we knew all of that.
Yes.
What are you doing on the computer right here? Do you recall?
Yeah, so on those computers are mounted in our patrol vehicles. We can see details of the call for service or other calls for service. In this case, I was looking at the information for the incident on Moselle to determine what units had been dispatched, what units arrived, and when they arrived, due to Deputy Pruitt trying to establish the crime scene log.
And you use the term call for service, which is a police term, but that essentially means responding to any emergency or
Any type of call, any citizen that would call our dispatch center to request law enforcement assistance or fire rescue assistance, it's called, we just refer to it as a call for service.
I came on scene at 22:26.
22:26?
Yes.
Yep.
You say you came on scene at 22:26?
That's correct.
For those of us who don't know military time, can you tell us what that is?
That would be 10:26 p.m.
And that's June 7th, 2021?
That's correct.
And whoever U21 is with fire rescue, just write U21, fire rescue U21. And then
That was the same time as you?
he came on scene. Yeah, same time as me. It's fine. Medic 18 at 22:27.
Had it started to rain more at this point?
Yeah, it had started raining at this point, yes.
$758 on scene 22:30. Same time as you. $653 on scene at 22:39.
22:39.
Yep.
Those numbers that you're referring to, what do those represent?
So the numbers would be the badge numbers of individuals arriving on scene.
You're just recording when various people arrived on the computer?
They're recorded in the computer. So when we arrive on scene, we let dispatch know our number and that we're on scene. They log it into the computer, and then we can then put it on our crime scene log.
And that's all I have as far as times on this goes.
There. 787 Central. Alright. Copy. When you clear, I have a call on Majestic of a suspicious vehicle. Copy. Where's that located? 223 Majestic Oak Way in Cottingeville. 10-4. There's a Cottingeville unit that can assist. That'd be great.
Pretty sure Majestic Oaks is their jurisdiction anyway.
Professor Puggo File, I believe that's not jurisdiction anyway. I'll take care of that.
Copy.
Twenty-three Majestic Oak.
I got somebody. I'm trying to get it.
That individual walking off to the left of the screen, who is that?
The one walking away from the screen or that just approached?
Walking away.
That was Deputy McDowell.
All right, and then the center of the screen, who was that?
The one that just walked up and is in center screen now would be Captain Kraus.
All right, and then next to him, facing the body camera?
That would be Captain Chapman.
All right, and then to the far right?
Detective Tyndall.
Are you traveling there? Correction. It's unknown what type of vehicle she had.
Were there dogs in those kennels to your recollection?
There were a couple of dogs. I don't remember the exact number, but I do remember seeing some.
Her yard that belongs to her. She says she can only see the tail lights of the vehicle. She is also threatening to use them for time possible. It happened about 5 minutes ago. Copy.
Yes, sir. We're going to discuss it later and find out.
Okay, just I'll make sure I didn't miss something.
Nope.
That discussion right there, did that have anything to do with the crime scene or anything like that?
No, it was not related at all.
What'd you just put on your hands then?
Those would be latex gloves.
And the gloves you put on that you described earlier to the jury, what were those gloves?
Those are more tactical gloves. They're not necessarily ideal for handling any kind of evidence, but due to me already being out there next to the shotgun, I did not have any latex gloves on my person, so I used what was available.
And why are you putting on latex gloves right now?
They were wanting to look under the sheet where Paul was, so just to prevent any kind of contamination of any possible evidence at all, we would just always put gloves on.
Well, the dad's over there. Actually, hold on. So people just won't do it.
Fire rescue might have some more sheets we can steal.
That's right. It shouldn't be any about 5 to the law enforcement or.
There is his law enforcement.
Laying on the ground. Something like that. I don't think you can fit it in 300 blackout under there.
Unless it's the shortest 300 blackouts ever been made. I don't think he put that on back.
What is that discussion about right there?
So the whole purpose for even trying to look up under him was to determine if there was an additional firearm on scene already, possibly under Paul. There was 300 blackout casings found near Maggie. They were trying to determine if there was possibly a 300 blackout rifle under Paul.
And why were y'all concerned that there may be one under Paul?
We just trying to rule it out as a possibility.
And what was that possibility then?
That he could have shot Maggie.
And then did what?
Shot himself.
So you're looking to see if there's a gun underneath, if he had shot himself and then fallen on top of it.
That's correct.
I haven't asked the dad about the phone, but dad did say he came over and checked the pulses.
Did you see a phone near Paul when you arrived on the scene?
Yes, there was a phone laying on top of him near his back pockets of his shorts.
I'm gonna back it up just a little bit. Is that it right down there at the bottom?
That's it.
I don't think you can fit it in 300 blackout under there.
Unless it's the shortest 300 blackouts ever been made. I don't think he put that on back.
I haven't asked the dad about the phone, but dad did say he came over and checked the pulses. Beyond that, I don't know what else they may have done. He had a shotgun. He did have a shotgun with him, and I have secured that in my vehicle.
Yeah, but it's an upward shot. This is one always see a water. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but that's because it gets his head on. So that was good. Okay. I think we need to set it like this. Do that like that. There's a lot, right?
Yep. So I've got multiple gunshots out of that window too.
Do we see a shell?
At least 3.
Shells.
Got it.
Right to the left of the screen, there appears to be, what does that appear to be to the very left of the screen?
There's some dog crates over there. On top of one of the dog crates is actually a dead chicken.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
A dead chicken.
Okay.
On the far left-hand side of the screen.
Did you, Your Honor, with your permission, could you step down to the screen and point what you're talking about to the jury?
Okay.
It's difficult to see, but right here on top of that small dog crate was what appeared to be a dead chicken. I'm sure I could do that. I couldn't see it. Could you do it?
Do it again, please.
This area right here. Right. Thank you.
Dude, why are you acting like you ain't seen it before?
Yes.
You mentioned in your opening statement.
Times are right. Like if they exit multiple times and come back in.
You don't need to keep doing all that.
Okay. I wanted to make sure before.
Yeah.
Is that it? That's your lights on right there?
That's correct. That's when I was really noticing the chicken.
No, that was the chicken that the dog killed.
Just so you know, I've got at least 5 holes in the window in the back of that shed where rounds are exiting out the back that way.
Which is going to be what?
I don't think they've talked about that yet.
It is currently in my vehicle.
But that's how they knew that he was at the dog kennel, because he yells at Bubba, the dog, who says he killed a chicken. Oh, yeah. Poot mentioned it in his opening statement. So they did talk about it.
I must stand for a moment.
And Paul caught it on Snapchat. And Alec kept saying he never went down to the kennel before he went to his mom's house. But we have his voice on the Snapchat, so he obviously lied. So they know he was down there at the time of the murder.
All right, we'll get you.
So then he went to his mom's, and then he came back and pretended like he found the body.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Rod. That's the extent of the video that state will publish at this time, Your Honor. Let me ask you a few other questions if I could. Deputy, Sergeant Green. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit number 5 to your testimony and see if you recognize this image.
Yes, sir. That would be an image from my body camera when I was looking at the tire tracks in the grass.
Have the put back to the Elmo, please. Your Honor, this time I would move to admit State's Exhibit 5, I believe, without objection.
Any objection to State's Exhibit number 5? Submitted without objection. Yes. Publish any exhibit that has been admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, it doesn't show up on the screen that great, but who is that person in the image right there?
That would be Mr. Murdaugh.
All right, and then just kind of in this area, it's more clear on the video, but that would be the tire
Yeah.
tracks you described earlier?
Yes, where I'm shining my flashlight at that point is where the tire tracks were.
We cut the video off after playing sort of the relevant parts, but what did you do for the remainder of this scene as the evening continued?
So the remaining part of my role would have just been making sure the crime scene stayed secure, people stayed out of where they weren't supposed to be. Investigators were handling the remainder of the investigation.
Did eventually anyone from the SLED, the State Law Enforcement Division, show up?
They did. I don't believe that would have been captured on my body camera, but they did, yes.
At some point, did you like to turn your body camera off?
I did. I cleared it with my supervisor, Captain Kraus, to ensure that I would not be needed for any additional investigative purposes, talking to Mr. Murdaugh or handling any additional evidence. And once that was okayed, I turned it off.
And so that was consistent with standard police procedures and practices and when you turn the body camera off?
That's correct.
You just didn't decide to do it willy-nilly or anything?
That's correct.
At what point, just roughly, do you remember, did you clear the scene or leave the scene?
I don't think I left the scene until several hours later.
Were you still there when SLED crime scene arrived?
Yes.
Did you remain the entire time they were there, or did you leave at some point?
I would have left prior to the end of my shift. I couldn't tell you the exact time that it was, but there were multiple units, including SLED and Carleton County investigators, still on scene when I left.
That's all the questions I have for this witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Set up some of the audio visual stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a break at this time. Please go to the jury room. Please do not discuss the case.
Bell.
preparing this, you indicated, you were asked by Mr. Waters, said there was water on the ground, right? It had been raining and you saw water, right?
That's correct.
And as I understand it, and we're going to look at the video in just a minute, that water was primarily, at least what we see in your video, on the concrete area around the dog pens, correct?
That's what it appeared, yes.
Okay. And let's go to that first one.
Share.
Sorry, Your Honor, the technology is difficult. Glad to help.
Because you're old poop.
Glad to help.
Share.
Go ahead a little bit further. Okay, back it up just a little bit, could you? Just back it up a little bit. Okay, yeah, now start right there. I think I can stop for just a second.
Your mom. Share.
Okay, stop it. Now, you're walking down in front of the dog pens. Is this the water you're referring to?
Yes.
And you have dogs?
I have one dog.
You don't keep them in a pen?
No, he stays in the house.
Okay. But if you had hunting dogs and you had this line of, how many pens do you think there were?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I mean, there's a lot.
8, 9, 10?
Sure.
And are you familiar with the concept of washing a pen out after a dog defecates in the pen?
I've never personally done it, but I'm sure that's what you would do to clean out a pen.
Okay. In the pen, I mean, there's water inside the pens and outside the pens, correct?
That's what it looks like.
Does that matter?
Go ahead.
Why does that matter?
And again, we're looking at dog pen, and the water appears to be outside the pen on the concrete.
I would object. I think that the video needs to be stopped for counsel to ask this question and for the witness to respond.
You're posing a question while playing a video,
I'm sorry, Aaron.
or making a statement while playing the
on
video.
StreamYard, so it's gotta be YouTube.
Okay, so again, this shows the same area, shows water on the concrete outside these dog pens, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Go to the next one, please.
So was Creighton insinuating that he tried to clean up the crime scene, that's why it was wet? Well, it wasn't cleaned up. So that doesn't hold water. No pun intended.
So again, this shows, actually there's a light shining and you see a couple dogs. So those pens are occupied by dogs. There's water outside the pen and inside the pen as if somebody attempted to wash something out of the pen, correct?
There is water both inside and outside of the pen, yes.
You got one more? No, it's not. So I want you to go to the transcript. You need to switch it to the video. Again, I apologize, Your Honor, but the technology is more complicated than. Yeah. So let's proceed on. Let's see if I can clarify a couple matters. Let's talk about this shotgun. This is the shotgun that Mr. Murdaugh was carrying or had leaning up against the car when you got there. Is that correct?
It was leaning up against that vehicle, yes.
Okay. And according to what you testified to just a moment ago, these are the shells.
I didn't
the chain of
say
custody
anything
on
like
the shotgun and the shell. They went together.
Whenever I released the shotgun to the SLED agent who took possession of it, I was unaware of any shells that may have been inside of it at the time that it was handed over. That was what was discovered inside the gun, is my understanding.
Okay. Where's that chain of evidence document? Okay, would you publish this to the jury, please?
You would like me to read it?
Yes, please.
The Camo Benelli Super Black Eagle 3 12-gauge shotgun, serial number U573210E17, one unfired shot shell 12-gauge Federal, one unfired shot shell Winchester 16-gauge.
Okay, so there's a 12-gauge shell and a 16-gauge shell.
Yes.
12-gauge shotgun.
Yes.
It's maybe way beyond your experience, but can you fire a 16-gauge shotgun shell with a 12-gauge shotgun?
I wouldn't recommend trying it.
You recommend what?
I would not recommend trying it. I don't know that it would actually work or not.
Could it result in damage to the person trying to fire the shotgun?
More than likely.
Jack, he's already said he doesn't have an answer to that.
Objections overruled.
So you would not, you can actually harm yourself. It could blow up if you pull the trigger on a 16-gauge and a 12-gauge shotgun.
I've never tried it nor seen it tried, so I don't
And the
know.
reason you don't do that is because you could have personal harm from doing it, right?
It's possible.
So this shotgun, according to the chain of evidence you just read, has a 16-gauge and a 12-gauge in it.
Correct.
And was leaning up against the car.
It was. The shotgun was.
Now, I'm sort of interested as to.
Sure.
I'm sort of interested as to why. Well, let me just cut to the chase on this. There's discussion on this tape, or maybe others, that there was a theory that Paul had shot his mother and then shot himself. Is that correct? That's out on the scene.
Yes.
Because she had been shot multiple times. And he had been shot with a shotgun. At least one of the shots, we all believe was upward. That's why his brains were all over the ceiling.
That part, I don't know. I wasn't involved in that part of it.
At the scene.
I did not discuss anything being shot upward. I don't recall saying that.
Did you hear discussions to that of your fellow officers?
Of a shot being fired upward?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like they were saying, yes.
Okay. And further, I think in front of you, one of the officers saying that brains are on the ceiling, there's blood all over the place, correct?
I don't recall them saying brain was upward. I don't recall.
Okay. And further, you, as you're discussing this with them, indicate, let me make sure I get this correct. You indicate there are multiple, or someone indicates to you there are multiple blackout rounds around Maggie's body in the vicinity, correct?
Not rounds, but shell casings.
All right, shell casings. Now, let me ask you this. When you got there, didn't the fire chief and the fire department arrive before you did?
No, sir. I was first on scene.
Okay, did they arrive while you were there?
One of the fire rescue workers, I believe it was Barry McCroy.
And when you got there, we hear unidentified person, and in your notes you indicate it was the fire chief, I believe, that indicated to you, pointed out to you tire tracks, and you went over and looked at those tire tracks, and there were multiple tire tracks coming and going, correct?
I don't know that someone indicated them to me. I believe I just saw them.
Okay. And what did you do to preserve those?
The tire tracks, nothing.
And you certainly are not an expert in tire tracks.
I'm not.
So you couldn't tell whether it was multiple vehicles or one vehicle.
No.
And it may have been multiple vehicles.
May have been.
Did you take pictures of the tracks?
I did not take any pictures of the scene.
Instruct anyone to take pictures of the tracks?
No, sir, that's not my job.
When SLED arrived, did you tell them about the tracks?
No, sir, not my job.
Do you regret not doing that?
It's not part of my job description.
So what's your job to even tell them there were multiple tire tracks?
If it had come up, if I had been asked, yes.
And in addition to that, since they were not secured in any way, multiple vehicles, law enforcement vehicles and others, drove over those tracks.
That's possible. I wasn't over there the whole time to know what kind of vehicles were driving in the area.
Well, by the time SLED got there, did you strike that? You never took SLED over and pointed out tire tracks.
Not to my recollection, I did not.
Was there somebody there at this with your department that should have done that?
I have no idea what they do with their job descriptions as far as what they point out to additional investigators.
Did somebody from Fire and Rescue point out footprints?
I believe on my body camera there is a fire rescue individual pointing out some footprints.
Okay. Did you take pictures of those?
I did not.
Did you tell SLED about them?
I did not.
So nobody attempted to determine whether those were Maggie's Paul's footprints, or at least that night, there was no effort by you or your department to preserve those?
By me, no, I cannot speak for everyone else.
Okay. And let me ask you this. How about go to 4439, please? And let's watch 10, at least 10, if not 15 seconds of that. Okay, if you go to page 17, line 10.
Your Honor, I'd object. They're putting a transcript that's not been.
No, we're going to play the video.
It's up on the screen.
It's up on the screen. I apologize.
Can you take it down, please? Thank you.
We have to prepare the transcript. It's synced with the video.
Okay. Well, I object to that. Your Honor, I object. This transcript's not been provided. There's no need for a transcript. The officer is here. They can play the video and he can comment on it.
The transcript being offered. Well, you have questions for the witness, questions for your IT guy, you're just reading, ready to proceed. I understand, we're waiting for you. Okay.
Yep.
I'm ready. What was the time? 17.
It's page 17. Line, start of line 8. No, I don't. I don't have that. That's my file. It's just synced with the record. It's not. Let me, rather than having to play this, let me just cut to the chase. It's taking too much time. On this transcript, on this tape, fire rescue person says to you, I believe he agreed with me, set of prints behind the trailer. You were told there's.
Jackie's publishing again this
I'm not
transcript.
publishing, I'm asking.
Who?
Did you?
I object.
I haven't heard a question yet.
I'd like to make one. Were you told by fire and rescue there's a set of prints behind the trailer?
Yes.
Okay. And did he tell you that they attempted to not disturb those footprints in any way?
I don't recall exactly what was said.
Let me further ask you. You asked Mr. Murdaugh, we heard this on the tape, you talked about the tire tracks coming and going, and he told you those weren't his tire tracks, correct?
He did say that they were not.
Okay. And further, he indicated to you, Mr. Murdaugh did, that he felt this was related to the boat case. You indicated you knew about the boat case. You read about the boat case. Paul had been charged with 3 counts of felony DUI, killing a young girl and wounding 2 others, correct?
I don't know much details about that case. I really don't.
Okay. But Mr. Murdaugh indicated to you that the threats made against Paul.
He did.
And that he even got in a fight once about it.
I believe he said punched.
Punched, okay. And so on the scene, he believed that Paul's death was connected to someone angry about the boat case, correct?
Object to that, Your Honor, as to what he believed. Asking the witness what another person believed.
Objection is overruled.
Thank you. On the scene, Mr. Murdaugh indicated to you he thought the death of his son was related to his son's involvement in the death of a young lady and the injury of 2 others in the boat case, correct?
It appeared that that's what he was getting at, yes.
On the tape. Now, let's talk a little bit about the preservation of the crime scene. What did you do other than put yellow tape up to preserve the crime scene?
That is about the extent of my jobs, to put up the tape and make sure people that don't need to cross it don't cross it.
And I noticed that there were officers walking around putting little pieces of tape near shell casings.
There was one officer doing that, yes.
And in the process of doing that, I didn't see any lights other than maybe a flashlight. Were there any, did y'all put up any sort of high intensity lights so people could make sure they weren't stepping on something in the dark?
At that point, there was no light, no additional lighting that had been put up. No.
But you and your officers were walking through that entire area, is that correct?
We were walking in the area, yes.
Okay, and did you actually walk, I mean, the feed room, and let me, maybe this is the best way to do this.
Oh, pictures, please.
I'd like to use the Elmo. Two photographs. I'm going to use the Elmo in just a moment to show this witness. I'm going to offer these into evidence without objection by the state, as I understand it.
Once they're marked, I have no objection. I would note they're graphic and they need to be shielded from view.
Elmo ready?
They can be marked. What would the exhibit numbers be for the defense? Defense 1 and 2 are admitted without objection.
Okay. So, thank you. I'm going to first show you the picture. See if you can identify it, please.
That would be a picture of Paul.
And the second one, which would be exhibit number 2.
Picture of Maggie.
And when you say picture of Paul and picture of Maggie, these are crime scene photos, correct?
They appear to be, yes.
Is this what you saw that night?
Yes.
Both of these pictures?
Yes.
Accurately depict what you saw that night?
Yes.
Got the screen right there.
So as you look at this, I want to make sure I understand. One of Paul's feet is still inside. This is the feed room behind him, correct?
Yes.
And this is his head, lots of blood, and this would be a part of his brain lying next to him, correct?
I don't know if that's part of his brain or not.
All right, so it's fair to say you didn't know whether that was part of his brain. When you first saw him, you didn't know whether his injuries were catastrophic and he was dead. Or did you?
It was very clear that it was catastrophic.
Okay. That's great. Now, when you came upon the scene, clearly this feed room was part of the crime scene, correct?
Yes.
Now, you're taught to keep the crime scene pristine, correct?
As pristine as possible, yes.
There was no reason for you to go in there, was there?
Me at the time, no.
Okay. Was there any reason for the police, before the Sled crime folks showed up, was there any reason for you all to go in there?
There was no reason for me to go in there. I cannot speak if there was a reason for another officer to have gone in there.
Well, let me ask you this. Did you all have any sort of crime scene expert with you that night, someone that processes crime scenes?
Investigators do process crime scenes.
Okay. Do you remember going in that feed room?
I don't remember if I did specifically or
But
not.
you shouldn't have if you did, correct?
It's not to say that I shouldn't have. If there was something that needed to be done in there, then yes.
I guess what I'm getting at is, I think and you would agree with me, one of the cardinal rules of a crime scene is keep it pristine. Don't walk over things. Try to preserve tire tracks, get pictures of them, footprints, all those sorts of things. Was somebody with the officers with you, were you in charge of the scene?
I was in charge of the deputies that were under my immediate supervision until someone higher than me had arrived on scene.
And were those deputies directed by you or anyone do something to preserve the tire tracks, pictures, cordon them off, cover them up?
I did not give anyone that instruction, no.
So you didn't do that. In terms of Paul, where Paul was laying, was anybody instructed, put a cordon around him? There's no reason to go into the feed room. There's no reason to do anything obtrusive until the SLED crime scene process. They're on the way at this point, right?
I believe they were, yes.
And so okay, so let's put the other one. And identify this for me, please.
That's Maggie Murdaugh.
Your Honor, may we approach your approval?
Okay. We're going to stop there. I did not unalive my husband. He just got home. And we're going to eat dinner. So, we're going to stop there. Oh, wait. Let me shut it off. Okay. So, we're going to stop there. And we will continue Friday morning at 9 because I'm going to be out of town tomorrow. But hang on. Good Lord, there's all kind of baby Grogu shorts all over this thing. I gotta go see that movie. Good Lord. That's not what I want. There, you can watch me there tomorrow. Marty doesn't like me enough to watch me at Disney. That's okay. Bye, guys. Be kind to people. Love your family, and Jesus loves you, and so do I. Bye. I will see you Friday morning at 9. Love you guys.